May 8th, 2025, regular meeting of the HPARB of the Village of Sag Harbor. Please join me in saluting the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. As the members of the board read the meeting minutes from the prior meeting,
Yep.
any additions, corrections, deletions, anything like that?
Nope.
I will move that we accept the minutes as presented. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So we have the correspondence requiring action. I've only seen one set of correspondence here from Chris McDonald's.
Well, this is
No,
different.
There's three.
These are,
26 Walker, they're extending their HPA.
yeah, it's not, it's
Oh, that's-
all head agencies and that kind of stuff.
Okay,
Can we just do all three at once? Or do you want
Because
each?
they're different things. so
Okay.
it's up to-
All right, so I'll move number one,
I'll
it's a
second that.
2-year extension.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number two, 2 Main Street.
I'll move
For the
number,
planning board to take lead agency,
Yep.
for secret.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Okay,
In favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
And number 3, 2-year extension from the HPARB for 12 Union LLC at 12 Union Street. I will move that we accept that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Wait, why would we? It looks like that house is for sale.
Because it's a standard thing. We've never not.
Just approve it, even though it might have new owners.
It goes with the property.
Well, if we approved it, then they have to build what we approved. If not, the new owners have to come back and make a new
Your
application.
extension.
All right.
Okay,
It's the same thing with 26 Walker. We just approved that.
Because the new owners buy it with the approval attached. So they can go ahead.
John, do you want me to read our consent agenda items? There's quite a number of them.
You can just say
We
the
can go for
address.
unanimous approval. We can go for approval of that. All right,
She's saying that we should say the addresses.
okay. 27 Meadowlark Lane. Sag Harbor Yacht Yard, 53 Bay Street. Sag Harbor Cinema on Main Street, 24 to 27 Washington Street. Village Backstreet Realty, 51 Division Street. Edward Burke, 62 Main Street. Green Barn, 2024 LLC, 21 Dartmouth Road. Sag Harbor Pool LLC, 155 Main Street. And finally, Happy Germain LLC, 132 Germain Avenue. I move that we pass the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That brings us to old business and 11 Marsden Street.
This is a public hearing, I think, right?
It's a continuation of
Yeah.
the prior.
Yep.
So one of these.
Oh, yeah.
Facing the side.
Right, right.
That's number 11, if I remember correctly.
I believe so.
Okay.
I'm gonna say this, I'd really appreciate if we could be efficient. This is a long agenda we have tonight. So if we can move forward as quickly as possible. I think our rules are 15 minutes per presenter. So
Ready.
ready to go.
Good evening, board and community members. I'm here to present 11 Marsden. In response to the feedback from the board, I have reduced the columns. We have reduced the front porch from 372 square feet to 90 square feet, resulting in us removing the triple French doors on each side to 3 double hung windows. Currently, the covered porch is only at the front entry area instead of across the entire front, as was suggested. This results in the reduction of the building coverage of 12.11% to 11.65% in coverage, and from 18.5 to 18.04 with a max building coverage of 25%. We pushed the house back another 3 feet away from the property. The backyard of the property in front. On the west side elevation, we changed the entry side from a single glass door to a new entry door with double side lights, and adjusted the location on a few windows. Currently, the overall livable square footage has been reduced by 209 square feet, resulting in a refined total of 4,906, where we are allowed 5,114 square feet by right. The redesign is now only 63.4 feet wide, complemented by a modest entry mudroom measuring 6 feet wide. This adjustment yields a depth of 55 feet 10 inches with a generous 94.2 feet of frontage along Division Street, incorporating a right side setback of 73.2 feet with Division Street. Importantly, the proposed building height stands at 31 feet 10 inches, which is 3 feet 2 inches below the max 35 feet building height. In summary, we revised the architectural plans represented a sincere effect to harmonize the needs of the client with the interests of the community and the surrounding environment. This was also in direct alignment with the comments made by the architectural consultant and the board. That being said, we respectfully urge the approval of the proposed plans for 11 Marston Street.
Could we see, could we see the new up here? Even up here, could we see it, Karen?
Is it on?
Well, there's not a front of this one. I just went through all of them.
Well, the front is technically the side that faces the flag
Okay, and then I'll put
that we were concerned. Yeah, so because of it being a flag lot and us not being allowed to enter from Division Street, we cited it so that the side entry acts as a separate entry.
It would be nice if you had these labels. You want to take this through us through this?
So this is this view,
May I?
yes. Is
This
the
looks
view
like
that
the only
is
one you
side
get are the
entrance
front.
with the
This
double
is
front
the,
entrance?
I'm sorry, this is a. This is the entry from the flag portion of the lot that you would see.
This is in the back, correct?
It's in the very back, it's the very end corner.
Mhm.
Right.
So you're driving in and then
You're
to the
driving in
right.
and you're seeing it to the right.
Yep.
Correct.
Um,
And
and sorry, this is
so this is the rear of the house, which is
facing.
somebody else's property behind us.
Correct.
Okay.
We're on a different page.
So this is the rear of the house, which is facing the back property, the very back of the 4 lots.
Which is on Madison.
So this is,
So this is, it's easier.
Oh, there you go.
There you go, yay.
So this is what you see coming down the flag lot.
Yeah.
And the house is on the right-hand side.
Mhm.
If you go to the next one.
Just hang on. So coming through the side.
So this is the rear of the property that faces the back lots and there's houses behind us that their rear is facing our rear.
On Jermaine.
On Germain.
Right. Jermaine?
Is it
Yeah.
division? No,
Division.
no, the rear of the property is not, division is this side, Germain is behind it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
The rears of Jermaine.
Correct.
The front.
Correct.
And there's a retaining wall.
Whatever the landscape plan and the planting plan has is what, yes, there is a retaining wall.
Okay,
Right.
What's this?
Division.
Jermaine? No, division?
Madison.
Marsden?
Madison.
Yeah, Madison. So the back of this, the back of this faces the back of a home
Main house.
on Jermaine or on Madison? It's the flag lot, right?
This is
The
the flag.
inside flag lot.
It's back up on Jermaine, on Jermaine.
I think it's the back of Jermaine.
So just for, this is,
There you go, there you go.
this is the lot that we're talking about.
Right.
Well, that's here.
So the back
So
is,
there's a house behind us, their backs are facing our back.
But that's Jermaine up top.
Jermaine.
I don't know the,
yes,
yes, it is.
It is. I got
And
it, I
that's
got it, I
division.
got it. That's Jermaine Marsden division. Okay, Madison. Okay, got it, understood. Sorry, I didn't want to confuse anybody, just wanted to orient myself.
yep, that's fun challenges. So this is the comprehensive landscape plan,
so looking at the plan, right, on the right-hand side is in the back, is that what we were looking at with and now we've got the nice tall trees between the neighbor and
yes.
that. Yep, yes, I got it.
And so you said you pushed the front
We
back
pushed
3
the
feet?
house, there was comments made on the last time we were here that the front, the technical legal front of the house.
Yep.
Was too close to the property line, so we pushed it back an additional 3 feet. We can't go much more because of the pool.
Mhm.
So we pushed it back as far as we could push it.
So is that 38 feet now? Because it would be 35 feet as a front yard.
But that's not a front yard. So
You've got the
This
front
is the way you
house.
got it, yep,
So it's
yep.
it's
18
30 feet, it's 30
Come down
feet
that
from that property
driveway.
line to the actual
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
25 to the covered front porch that was reduced.
We haven't seen that yet. On the screen.
You try to get the.
The non-pool
See,
side view.
this is what they're doing, this is now.
Yes,
And so this is the main entrance that we talked about. doing.
yeah. Right, right,
Too far away.
And they split this, he splits it.
yes.
I think it's more handsome. don't
It's
you?
better looking, but it's still too big and too everything.
Questions that you had last time.
Don't
Like
take
if you
it.
improve it.
It's an-
This is the back of, I think, 7 Marsden.
Mhm.
Yeah, the back of 7 Marsden, which would be the front of 11 Marsden, right?
Mhm.
And then we come on.
And this is one of the ones that you can't really see.
We can't see, there's nothing to see.
Right, I remember one of the comments that we had from last time was
Just
just
the
coming
garage.
in here, the first thing you see is the garage as opposed to the side, and so how does this correlate? How does the front of it correlate to the front of the room? Right, that was, I think.
You really isn't a rendering,
Right.
you really don't have a rendering of the new main entrance, whether you want to call that the front or not. Is there?
There should be a rendering, flat on rendering of that. There's just flat cloud. Let me see if you can find flat cloud.
I see it from a side angle, but not
Right,
from a front.
and mostly hidden.
This-
There is also in the regular plans, no,
This
in
one.
in the flat plan, the 11x17 plans,
That's the entrance. That's the entrance.
a elevation.
No, to the pool.
No, on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
That's the entrance to the house.
So this is the side entrance. Right? This is the
Right.
side entrance from the driveway,
Mhm.
and then this is the front. Which is why this front of the house faces the back
Of
of the other house, of the
Seven
Seven
Marsden.
Marsden.
Right.
Mhm.
And so I think the question last time was, how does the side of the house interact with the road, even though it's an interior road? I think that was one of the questions, right? And then there's something about the columns, if I remember. Oh, the columns to the.
Yes, and
canopy,
she
make them
She
smaller.
made them small.
You didn't have the black and white plans?
Well, they're in the big folder.
So I think that's, okay, so this was make it smaller, makes sense.
I remember this. clearly.
Yeah, this is this one.
So, in the intro,
Right, I
Everything
agree.
on the same one.
I agree.
show you the difference.
And they did put it, the
Yes,
three,
yeah.
because we said it was too close.
Right, because it has
This is
this upper.
the
patio.
revised
Yeah.
front that is facing
There
the
you
back.
Mhm.
Reduce the columns and the size of the covered porch, which was on the top.
You can see it.
Reviewing plans.
And then
Thanks, bye. She's got
Side
it. She's
entry.
done it.
Yeah, so smaller.
But they match
Smaller
the front and the
columns.
side.
Yes, the columns match exactly. We make this more look like an entry
Yes.
door instead of a subsidiary door.
Right.
Yep.
Good, good.
That makes sense.
It's better.
Much better. Hey, well, good. I'm good.
You just want to say anything? Oh, Megan had to leave. If you want to say.
They, I think they
She's
listened to
abstaining.
us and
I'm just gonna,
She's
no.
Okay.
So shall we make a motion?
That's
I'll make a
okay.
motion to approve
Okay.
11 Marsden.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
One.
Okay.
Thank you.
So,
7 Marsden.
7 Marsden. 7 Marsden is the smallest property of the four. At the last meeting, it was indicated that we were not making a lot of substantial changes. So I just want to reiterate the amount of changes that we did. We transitioned the hip roof
I
to.
apologize. Before you do that, can we pull up the picture or
Like what she's going
what
to,
she's gonna be
what she's going to talk about. That would be helpful.
Yeah,
Just have to give me a minute.
Oh, yes, yes.
I apologize, Rachel.
no, please.
So continue, please.
Well, she's gonna get out the plane.
Well, she's giving, she always gives a prelude first.
Thanks, thank you, Ms.
There
Scary.
it goes, right there. Oh, okay, so, but that's not the front that I'm on. Okay.
Which one do you want?
I want did he give you a straight on front entry?
That's what she's looking out for.
Bear with me a second.
That's okay.
Okay, so here, this is the front. We did change the color, so it looks more in line with the color that you actually saw. But this is the landscaped plan. This is what the front looks like.
Can you hold it up a bit?
Sure.
And that's Marsden, the street in front,
Correct.
correct? Yeah, okay.
That's
Remember,
the,
it's like a
It's
pool.
like a cross from the,
I know.
it's like,
yeah, the driveway.
it's facing Marsden, right?
It's facing Marsden, yeah,
So,
it's one of the ones.
just to reiterate all the changes, we changed the roof to a gable roof, eliminated the dormers, replaced casement with double hung. Introduced an accent window, added color to the house, with the shutters. We reoriented the house and shifted it from entering off the flag lot to being rotated onto Marsden Street. Reduced the
Much
size
better.
of the columns. We reduced, at one time, we've done more, we've reduced up to 7 feet 2 inches of the width of the house. We adjusted the window locations, removed columns. Reduced the size of the rear covered patio, decreased the pitch on the gable to the left side. The reverse gable made it wider according to the recommendation of the architectural consultant. Today, the current changes we're presenting to you are an additional 5 feet 9 inches, almost 6 feet in width of the house was removed. And we took another foot out of the house. So just to put this in perspective, this house fits on a 206 feet wide lot. It only takes up 62 feet 5 inches of that front width. I could fit 3 houses of this house plus on that lot. This is also the exact same width of the house on 15 Marsden. Exact size house width-wise, but that lot was, I think, 30 feet less in width than ours. So as far as mass and scale is, it's definitely in line with what you have been approving.
Can you remind us what the square footage of the total house is again?
Of this house? Okay, sure. Sorry, I was getting to that. We took out 234 square feet, so the GFA, excuse me. Sorry. Right, do you know what this is?
Do we?
Oh, you have it. I can't read it because you have it. Okay. The proposed GFA is 4,455 square feet.
Okay.
We are about 4,700 and
Yes, yeah.
something.
It's better.
Definitely.
We have extensively, as you've been told many, many times, landscape these plans and everyone's specifications, so in conclusion on this, I believe that this design reflects thoughtful and responsible approach. And again, we've accommodated the additional request by reducing the mass and scale on the house once again.
Any discussion?
Do we?
You know, wait a second.
I need to ask, I wanted to ask a question about the public. Is it-
Well, that's
we
just what I was
need
gonna
to
say.
do-
Is this a public hearing?
Yeah, now we have to ask
So we,
for either or.
even on, yeah, let's go back to 11 if you don't mind. Is anyone from the,
Well,
we didn't close it officially.
can we just stay with this first? Because this stuff's up.
You want to finish it? Okay.
Yep. We'll
Let's
have
just-
to you have to close it and reopen, so let's.
Well,
Is there any-
let's finish
this
and then
one.
we'll go back to
Well,
11.
I move that we close 11 for reopening later, 11 Marsden, and right now we'll discuss 7 Marsden. Because the images are up,
Right.
right, so we'll discuss this, complete this discussion, let the public comment on it, and then we'll go back to the other one.
Yeah,
That was it, so we can correct our error.
Do we need to say?
So is there anyone here from the public from 7 Marsden Street?
Come forward. Please identify yourself.
I'm James Payton, village resident on 26th Street Main Avenue. I've been diligently watching this process for many months, and I have to say, although in my opinion, I thought they had it a few times in between, I think they really listened to all your comments. I think that they really had their ears open. I think that they have made sizable reductions in size and half. And by recently, I think Mr. Trenzo has cleared his lot across the street, and the street's starting to get developed. And I think a lot of the concerns from the public about what's gonna happen there, I think as they start to see the work done, it's really be beautified. I think you've really led the the right path, these guys make the right decisions, and I see that everything's coming to fruition. I think it's gonna beautify the environment. Thank you for your diligence and guiding them correctly.
Thank you.
Anyone here?
I move to
So we
post-
have Elizabeth Gilbert on Zoom.
Yeah, just gotta ask. To somebody.
Elizabeth?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
This is for 7. I also have comments on 11, but for 7 Marsden Street and 11, living in a historic district is like living in an area with a homeowners association where you have certain rules that need to be followed and certain appearance that the house needs to look like. This board has been entrusted with allowing or not allowing people to abide by the rules of historic preservation in the historic district. These houses are in the historic district. What's happening here looks like a subdivision to me and to many other people. And I really wish you would exercise your authority and deny the applications until the house looks appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Dawn.
Hi, how are you guys? Okay, two things.
Dawn, can you just
Say
introduce
me.
yourself?
Oh, Dawn Smith, 23 Grand Street, Sag Harbor. Now that Mr. Trunzo has clear cut his entire plot, looks like an Iowa cornfield, these homes, which are quite high, and they too soon will be pretty much clear cut from what the tree schemata they presented look like. These not only are these homes obtusely large, if that's even a correct word, but they will be so high without any kind of masking. No matter what landscaping they employ, it will take decades to reach the height of that and all those homes. The other thing I would like to comment on, in the last meeting, Mr. Trunzo outed me as being a neighbor. Of course I'm a neighbor, and I back up to his property. And in reality, these homes would increase my property value by a great deal. So I don't understand why I was outed, but yet I choose to speak out because they're wrong for the village. They're wrong for a National Historic District property. They are wrong. And when we are left with basically colonial skyscrapers, because they'll be seen from a great distance if there are no trees that are anywhere near the heights of these 5 homes, that's what we'll end up with for quite a few decades, quite frankly. Thank you. I encourage you to push back on these homes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, come on.
Good evening, and thank you for everything. Tom Cavallo, I am in Sag Harbor, family on Bayview, Lincoln, and I've been watching this progress. And I just want to say, I wasn't going to speak up because I think I figured this would, I think everything looks great. I didn't think there would be resistance, and I've been paying attention. They keep referencing subdivision, and I think this has had a negative connotation because this is not a subdivision. It's 4 lots that, and I think it's gotten attention because it's presented as such. And I've been watching new construction throughout the village go up, including homes on Grand Street. Like, I could just name one that I know, a builder, 60 Grand Street.
Mhm.
It is just as tall as some of these homes, especially with it really is, because you have changed your code actually since. And not to mention, homes at 60 streets like 60 Grand Street are a lot, the lots are a lot smaller. So like, I just disagree, respectfully. And I've been watching everything that they've been doing in your input. And these homes, I understand the historic value. I think they beautified them. And there's something to be said that they're at least 20% less than what the village code allows. I think no matter what they do, someone's gonna have an issue. I think if the school bought the property, someone would have an issue. They've come back, and it's like, I haven't spoke since, but it's like, I respect all the neighbors in the community. I love Sag Harbor, but I respectfully disagree with, a lot of these comments. And I think you guys did an amazing job, both, collaborative, so. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
there anybody else who'd like to make a comment? I move that we close, thank you. I move that we close discussion on this and close the public hearing on this.
Yes, seconds.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so now, do we have any more questions to the architect about 7 Marsden? Okay,
Sorry, I did apologize, I forgot to introduce myself.
that's okay, we know you
And
well.
we know you.
It's never.
I'm Marie Fontana, Senior Associate for McDonough and Conway and Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So I'll take a motion. Does anyone want to move to
I do.
to
I'll make
vote
a
on,
motion to approve.
to approve the application?
7 Marsden.
Seven.
7 Marsden Street. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we got 3, it's done.
No,
You said no, and I'm abstaining.
you're abstaining and I say no.
Okay,
Okay.
So we got 3.
we got 3, it's passed.
So we go back to 11, correct?
Why is he abstaining?
Let's wait a second, let our attorney catch up.
3 to 5.
Can he abstain?
We got it. It's because Megan can't, Carrie.
That carries.
Okay. So now I move that we reopen 11 Marsden Street for public comments.
And second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Is there anybody in the public else who would like to talk about 11 Marsden Street?
It's been approved.
Oh, okay.
We just didn't open it to the public. We forgot.
Fair enough.
If you, I don't want to tell you no, but
I'll review anything perhaps, but I'm looking.
okay.
He's been here many times. We know him well too.
And Elizabeth, do you have a comment about 11 Marsden?
I do. First of all, I'd like to reconfirm with what, with the architect or the presenter. Is the height of 11 Marsden going to be 41 feet?
No.
I think he says 3110.
Yeah.
3110. Okay, you forgive me because I don't have the advantage of having the drawings on my screen. I just want to point out, I know it's already been approved without the benefit of public comment, at least at this hearing. The Jolly Green Giant trees hiding the property. I thought that the HPARB had previously said that those were inappropriate.
Well, we talked about it, but they are within code.
I understand they're within code, but I'm talking about the appearance again and of what's going on in Sag Harbor, that we're hiding houses with Jolly Green Giants.
I understand what you're saying, and but we don't. We can have I guess feelings about it, but the code says that any kind of hedge or things like that, we do not stop at this point.
We have height restrictions.
There aren't any.
Yes.
Yes.
There are height restrictions, but again, you're dealing with an appearance of a property. Are Jolly Green Giants customary in the historic district?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, right now.
You know, it does depend. A lot of houses that face busy streets have green giants for obvious reasons. This is one of those exceptions, but as mentioned, we don't have any legal right to stop them. We did negotiate and talk about and modify the landscaping plan to add variety and what's the word I'm looking for? And to get the conformity or the repetitiveness of the landscape layout change. So we've tried to do what we could do on a collaborative basis with the developer and architect. I think you might be raising an issue that the code needs to be tweaked. And that's a different issue.
Thank you.
We actually mixed the cypress the eastern red cedar and the green giants. They're not solid green giants. There is a mix of the three different.
I think we asked for that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's just that Green Giants has become
I mean, it's just.
a cliche around Sag Harbor, and we
Everywhere.
ask people to consider different things. And many people cooperate and say, oh, sure, we'll happy to put in something else instead.
This is an example of that,
Yeah,
right?
and
They did.
so,
They cooperated.
yeah, we had cooperation here, which is good.
the third, I'm just gonna digress, continue this conversation. Third Green Giants is that it undermines the neighborhood spirit, particularly when you just have a driveway entrance or a walkway entrance. There's no hello, there's no good morning. It's, you're like in a condominium where you don't know your next door neighbor.
Right.
And that is really detrimental to the town. Because people who you see downtown, you would have known, you smile and wave, you don't see that. So there's a fractioning of our society here.
But, so that's something that, we'll have, I don't know if you want to, if you feel feel strongly enough about this to work on, maybe,
There's some other
getting
people who
a
are.
committee together, these
Exactly.
people, yeah, not, it's like
Exactly.
right
I'll join the
now.
committee, but
Yeah,
I'm not
right
gonna
now, we
organize it.
can't do anything about it.
Yeah, okay,
Okay,
thank you.
So much.
We're completed.
yep, I'll make the motion. No, we already
No,
did,
we
we
did.
got it. That's what I said, I'll do it again.
But
We need to
we do need to
close.
close
You
the
have to
public
close the
hearing.
public
All
hearing.
right, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
All right.
Uh,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Okay, who's here representing 18 Ryson Street?
What we
Megan,
need is like one of those
Megan.
book holders.
Can you grab that candy bar for a moment?
Right, you know what I mean? Like, cool.
The candy bar is for, just the candy bar. No, he has his own. Oh, don't you? So who took David's? Oh, sorry. I apologize.
Thing right now? No, it's.
Yes, for Michelle.
Oh,
She
I'm
has
sorry.
I didn't get one.
Don't sit down. My thing.
Thank you.
Our priorities.
Thank you for the interruption. Please identify yourself.
Okay, bud, go.
Good evening, Anthony Vermigod, 68 Union Street, representing 18 Bryson Street. So it's been a couple months since we've been here. I listened at the previous meeting, so we last discussed this project in March. We meet with Zach and Judith at the property on Monday, and just to kind of briefly sum up where we're at, I think we concluded that the exterior of the house, although it is an older house, has been heavily altered with all windows replaced, shingles replaced. Even the rear roof is a later addition, and the front dormer is a later addition. And our modifications are mostly towards the rear of the house and raising up the roof in the back, although it will still be about a foot lower than the main roof ridge. I think the thing that came up as sort of the biggest contention at the previous meeting is the front door design, and about it being maybe a little bit too elaborate and a little bit too historical looking when we don't really have any way of knowing what that is. So what we did was simplify that front door design. So now instead of a 5-panel door, it's a 4-panel door. And instead of having pilasters and an entablature, we're just doing a simple 5 to 5.5 inch casing. It'll be like a bead, a step, and a back band. And also we talked about maybe doing something with the transom, just having it like a wider in the middle and smaller on the sides. So that is all reflected on the updated drawing. Maybe start those again. Those are the updated drawings there.
It's funny.
So with all these adjustments, does this remain a historic home? Because I think you said there were a lot of adjustments,
Sit
with
there.
roof line, et cetera.
Sit there. Yeah, then
The
you can
house
sit
is, you know, it,
and talk to the. I love.
I remember what it was.
I'm sure you do.
Well, that's an interesting. But you don't unlist it.
Okay.
There's no mechanism for that. And this design is not undoing, there's very little impact on the main block of the house. Primarily, Anthony's going up with the back extension. We think there probably was an extension of some sort on the back of this house. Might have just been of one story, but that's not even there. So, but the real issue would be aesthetically, what is the impact on the main part of the house? I just felt, so when I did the research, it's interesting, the nomination form does not give a date for the house, but it gives it 1900. So it gives it a pass, so there's no, and it doesn't identify the period of the house. And that more elaborate doorway was a real Greek revival tour de force, which our architect is quite capable of. But it seemed to be going a little beyond what the house might actually want to stand. Then you have that bracketed cornice, which looks like maybe 1870s alteration. So there were a couple of choices in terms, and so I think where we've landed is a 4-panel door that could be of either sort of mid-19th century period. A very simple transom light over it, because you want to bring a little light into that front stair hall. And then the other alterations are to the back, which you don't see from the streets. I think it's quite contained within the existing building.
And that's really the back is outside of our
Yes.
purview anyway. So, any comments from the board?
I like the front door. I think that the change is really
It's quite attractive.
fits, whereas before it didn't. So I think it was nicely addressed and it looks great.
I think all the changes are actually improving the house from what it is now. The equalizing of the roof lines and everything about it. And now the door makes it perfect.
I will make a motion to approve 18 Ryson as modified and submitted.
I will second.
Okay. Carrie's not here, so someone can take credit when she comes back.
Whatever.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Who's here for? We approved, 2 people seconded the nomination. I submitted the nomination for approval.
You made the motion.
Judith.
We both second, so
Judith
take your
second.
pick.
Judith second.
And Megan said nay.
And Megan said.
Who's representing 220 Madison Street?
Mel. Oh, Madison, no, you're right, I'm sorry. Yeah, Madison.
That's by the former 7-Eleven.
No, by the movie, by the.
There's another copy.
Yes, I'm sure.
Oh.
I'm like.
Thanks. 220 guys.
Okay. Anthony Bermandois, representing Keep Point Madison Streets. So we've been here for a few times for this project. Just to remind everyone, it's in the historic district, but it is set back from the street quite a bit. I think it was one point in time listed as a contributing building, but it has been greatly altered over the years. We've done a site visit there. So we've really responded, I think, to every comment that this board has had. To sum up, we have this front door, which we think is more or less where the original front door would have been. We stepped down the rear roof line of the addition from the existing ridge. We kept this middle section there. We kept the existing kind of strange sort of humpbacked roof of that existing roof. A big issue that had come up was we had a staircase and a large window here facing towards the neighbor. We really worked hard to rework the floor plan so that the staircase is not in that location anymore, and we really eliminated that big window. So you can see here, it's just a little narrow window and then a window over the kitchen counter. And that's or actually, this is, I'm sorry, pointing to the wrong. This is that window facing facade
The
facing
neighbor,
the neighbor there. So just a long slit window over the kitchen counter and a small window up there, instead of the big window that we had proposed.
This was, remind me, this was the one that had a long vertical window.
Yes.
A two-story.
Yeah, we had that's fine.
Two-story
Yeah, we
window.
just- Yeah, we reworked the floor plan, so we don't need it, and it's just this sort of very kind of simple design on the side there. Now, once again, the front, is trying to make it what is currently a very asymmetrical front facade, a little bit more symmetrical, a little bit more fitting in a little bit more with the neighbors.
I was talking about that when we were talking about the last house. I had it confused with this one, but yes. Yeah.
Photograph?
No, that's a rendering.
Let's see.
Yeah, so this is the.
Or is this your next project?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take you out of your
No. Oh,
presentation.
This is, basically an idea of what the front's gonna look like, color,
okay.
making this symmetrical. And the rendering, a little bit of detail on this, fascia didn't really show up well, but, otherwise it's pretty accurate to what we're, planning on doing. There's our front door there.
Front door?
This is an existing front fence, which I'll go into the, landscaping in momentarily. So that is the plan
So
there.
what are the sizes? What's the size of the windows now?
So they're about 3 foot wide by about, the big ones are about 3 foot wide by 5 foot. 5 foot.
Those are 12 over 8s.
Yeah.
And you have 8 over 8s upstairs.
A little busy?
They're just a little bit. So in the nomination form, which I understand, this house has been through the ringer. So we can't rely upon anything here, but it does talk about 6 over 6s, which, would be the standard. Now, of course, if you want to make the windows downstairs a little larger, you could be 9 over 6. But to me, now you're going up and out. So I think there's just a disproportionate amount of window square footage.
I see that.
On the facade. It's emphasized in the upstairs ones. It just seems, and you could rectify that. Of course, I don't know what your window pane size is. Because obviously what you're working with here is X number high. Right. So if you were to try to make those windows a little smaller, the sizes of the window panes would change. But you're not restoring this,
Has the plan been like this from the beginning, Anthony, that it would be 12 over 8?
Yeah, we always had.
And we
12
saw the-
over 8.
And what's there now?
6 over 6.
Yeah,
Six
but
over
they're not
six.
original, I mean, they're
No,
not historic windows.
Okay, so I don't wanna bring up something new, so you're saying that from the very beginning, the design proposal has been to have 12 over 8 window sashes on the first floor with window panes of this size.
Yeah.
Do you want to look at that plan or no? You good?
To me, I'm seeing something new, but I hate to bring up something new after
No, I
we've discussed
agree. Right.
a variety of
Yeah, yeah,
things,
yeah.
and now we're
Well,
talking about the
and we-
windows.
This
we
large
see-
rendering makes it more
Yes.
obvious.
Do we have can you show us the plan of not the rendering, but the plan, please?
Floor plan?
Yes.
No,
The front, the front.
The facade, yeah.
Yeah.
But this is the current proposal, so I just, I didn't remember that the windows were that way, or I probably said something earlier. But
Do you have any objection to?
I mean, when I see it here, I'm more comfortable with it.
yeah,
Well, it doesn't come across
Yeah.
as top heavy, so to speak.
right.
I think that the rendering might be a little bit, I think what's happening actually is the fence is in the rendering, it's actually kind of making the, making the windows look lower to the ground than they actually are.
If you were to change the windows, Anthony, is it that the size of the entire window would have to change in order for it to be 6/6? Or is it that?
I mean, with that size pane, with that size window, you could do any pane configuration you want.
But the idea is to make the size of the window smaller, it's not the size of the pane, it's the size, it's 4 large windows. Set close, relatively close to each other. Across that, rather wise facade, so what ends up happening regardless of the size of the window. Is that there is a square footage of glazing that's more than is usual. It just seems a little, and these are all new, that's not what's there now, we're not seeing the existing condition. It says in the form there's 6/6s, and this was back in 1994, I don't even know if that's still the case. Because I don't know when the work was done.
Do we have,
I guess.
Terry's looking
I
for
didn't
it.
count the
Since
window.
you're doing all new windows anyway, can't
You have a
you just
picture, Missy.
pick any size and whatever that you
And is
want?
it 12 or 8?
No, it's 6/6.
Yes, no,
Six
I
over
mean,
six.
you
Okay.
have some leeway there,
Uh-huh.
I
Well,
think we
it would
did.
affect all of the windows because the ones on your south elevation are the same as those on the front. And then again, up on the north, et cetera, so there's a
I don't
uniformity
see it.
to the size of the window panes and various sash configurations. So this would require a
6/6.
Here, look,
But I
see, we're
guess-
gonna show you what it looks like right now.
Yeah, I think they're
that's why
pretty,
there are no windows.
but they're
Wow.
pretty substantial.
There's
Oh,
the
they're
6/6.
Ah, yeah.
There's less windows than what they're proposing right now.
These are 6/6 with
It's the same
largish.
Yeah.
They're
maybe 10 by
large.
12-inch paints, I don't know.
Yeah.
Can we see?
So I guess the question is, are you adding a window, even if the size is the same, size of the window is the same, but the panes are
No,
6/6
it seems
versus
that
There's
nine?
only
He can,
one
he
there
can
now.
put in whatever he
So
wants.
instead of one,
So he
we're
can
adding
do
four,
what
is
Zach
that the
said,
change?
because he's
Yeah.
gonna
There's
do
no
all
window.
new,
So
so
they're
why
currently
not?
2 windows kind of off center in the main, so that's staying, and then on the front there, which is now as a porch, a non-historic
There
porch,
was a
which is going
porch,
away,
yeah,
there's just a
porch is
door and a
going
window
away.
there.
That's
There
So
should
now,
be more windows, there's no question that
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
front of the house, you
Yeah.
have
There's nothing there.
Yeah,
a
nothing
series
there.
of windows, and instead of
Interesting.
one of those bays being a door, and you're electing to put the door into that little shed roof back extension, which is perfectly plausible. So, I don't know,
Perhaps it's smart to just, precedent wise, that the facade of the house shouldn't be larger than 6/6. Because that's kind of the standard of historic houses.
well, I would have to say that, there are precedences in Sag Harbor for houses with more than 6/6, I've done
We're
historic houses.
discussing two different things the way I see it. Pardon me for interrupting you.
Yeah.
Zach is talking about square footage.
Hmm.
And somehow the conversation is migrating to the number of panes, right? And you're,
they're related, but not the same.
they're not the same
Yeah.
thing, right? So let's deal with one issue at a time, or one point at a time. Let's talk about the square footage, okay? Because I think what Zach is saying is, windows were not as large during this time because they're just nothing more than air vents. So to bring back this more to proportion, let's talk about that, and then we can talk about your pane count.
So you have a really big challenge. This is an old house, it's designated as a contributing resource, but it has been really compromised and really modified through unfortunate alterations. So you're trying to bring back a sense of historical appropriateness to it, which is fine. My reaction here is that you're right, we have 12/8 windows in town, but they're from the federal period. Those are late 18th, early 19th century, and the window panes are 7x9, and those windows are more widely spaced. So you'd have more space between those windows. So that type of window certainly has historical, precedent here in town, but not in a house. It's probably the 19th century and not bunched so close together. So I would just say that, the existing 6/6 window that's there now, which let's just assume it's a surviving from before, that would be the window type that would be the better choice. And even 4 of those would be more widely spaced because it's smaller, I think, than what we're introducing here. So it's a fine point.
Are you still saying 4 windows or are you suggesting
Well,
3?
we have to see what the width of that facade is, whether you could fit 4. I think 3 would be more appropriate. But then you have 3 downstairs and 2 up, which don't align with the ones downstairs. This is a big challenge. There's no question that you're trying to rework this house that's been reworked and make it look attractive from the street with features that are appropriate to the period.
If he's proposing 4 right there,
They
we
should
can
be
see that
small.
they do fit.
Yeah.
But I think what the board would prefer would be smaller
Yes.
windows on the facade, because the facade is usually more of a modest opening to the interior of the home.
That would end up being.
Whatever you also say.
So what are we
6
talking
over
about?
6.
A 20% discount, reduction in the square footage? It's
Well,
not
I
much,
mean,
you're not talking.
If this is an issue here, there would be 2 ways to go here. One would be to make the windows physically smaller.
Right.
Another option would be to go with 3 windows in the front instead of 4, just eliminate a window and recenter them. I noticed that it is not, in fact, it's actually pretty common for the second floor windows to not line up perfectly with the first floor windows. You see that with 2 windows on the top and 3 on the bottom quite a lot. So that could be one thing that we could do there.
You'd prefer 3 windows on the bottom rather than 4?
I think it'd be less window, less glass.
Be less glass.
So same size, but 3.
I'd say the windows should be smaller.
That's a compromise.
I mean, I think it's so many.
Smaller
panes
and fewer of them,
that you would
or
want-
just
I don't care if
smaller?
it's 4
I
or
think
3.
you want
Uh-huh.
the 4 windows with the 6/6 is what I would think
See what that would look like.
that looks like. I think it's that it's very busy with there's just so many panes.
Yeah,
And for the homeowner, you get a better view of the street with fewer mullions and
Lights.
lights.
yeah.
So just to make sure I understand, the recommendation is keep the same size of the window, but change it to 3 and change it to
So the
6
window
over
would
6?
be
No.
smaller.
The window would be
So
smaller.
it's narrow the windows, remove 1 window and make it 6 over 6. Is that what
So
we're talking
a
about?
little of everything.
Yeah,
Can we look at the driveway? Because that was what was the
That was
big,
the
see,
big
you weren't here
Yeah.
last time. So that was what we were focused on, remember?
Yeah.
The driveway in the front.
Yeah, we're driving.
So I think-
No
I think the
landscaping.
question there,
Remember all that?
here was to have a more detailed
Landscape plan.
plan,
Yep.
which we've done. One thing is that we can do the required parking on the side of the house here. We don't need to park them in front of the house. There's enough room there to get squeeze 3 cars in per code. So that's
That's
great.
great.
Oh, good.
One thing that we really did here was try to talk, to do, some ideas with the plantings here. There's some existing privet, on the perimeter that is not in very good condition, but the planter who's here assures me he can rejuvenate them, so that is the plan. Having said that, though, there are some, additional plantings that we want to do here. What we're trying to do here is, and I know this was a discussion just at the last project, is trying to start steering people away from green giants or arborvitaes and alternate kinds of screening here. So the proposal here is
4 foot along the fence line, there's that existing fence, which you can see in the rendering here, just a 4 foot tall, northern bayberry. And we've got a photo of that here. That's, yeah, that's the northern bayberry. This may be a little bit bigger than what is, what's there. So up here for you.
Yeah. So that's existing?
No, that's proposed, behind the existing fence.
On the fence.
And then on the gaps on the side here, the 6 foot American hornbeam. So that's this. Once again, this is probably a little bit taller than the sample. It's a little bit taller than what we're proposing, which is only maybe 6 feet. And then we've got some mixed in there, some Brahma grass. It's kind of pretty. All the existing mature landscaping from the back, the side of the house is just gonna stay exactly the same. We're not proposing any changes there.
You have a chart on within the plans of the types of plants and the size and all of that good stuff?
I just have it labeled. I don't have a chart, but I do have it labeled on the plan itself.
So you're gonna have parking go just straight along the, what is that, south side?
Yeah.
But you still are having a turnaround or
Yes,
something there?
yes.
So it won't be grass?
It won't be grass. This will be gravel area, same as.
How about in the front of the house, the
In front
yard?
of the house, this will be a grass, so it'll be a lawn area in front of the
Okay,
house. yeah.
and then,
And in front, behind the row of
right,
Bayberries.
bayberries.
and then there's another,
Then another layer of grasses, that's that gamma grass.
okay, and then will
show.
that, behind the grasses, will it be grass?
Then that's where the turnaround is, which is actually where the septic system will be as well.
Okay,
And then a little bit more lawn between that and the
Okay.
house itself. Madison Street's a busy street
Yeah,
and
lots
most
of busy
folks
streets.
don't have the ability to have a place to turn around,
no,
so.
I get it.
I mean, that's why we wanted to keep that in there, but as I said, the parking will be on the side there.
Hmm.
And just logically, I
And you
mean,
won't
there's
see-
the door, so that's where.
From the
naturally
street,
you're
you
walking.
won't see the gravel
Right,
I
in that,
don't.
in that area
it should
right
be
in front of the
grass.
house.
It should be grass. It's a front yard. You're not gonna park there, then it's a front yard. Welcome to Sag Harbor. You have to back out.
Well, we can't,
Because I think if the gravel, if you leave the turn, does that not mean that there's a possibility to park on the gravel?
I'm sorry, I don't,
If we leave that space to turn, which is just the turn area, you could park just as easily as opposed to parking 3 in a row, correct?
Correct. And that's why we shouldn't have that.
I would think, Anthony, that if it was, you know how they make those parking areas and driveways now with the
Permeable,
yeah. and then the
permeable
grass grows.
driveways.
But you
So
can
what
still-
she's suggesting,
a couple of
You can
reasons why.
still ride on that, drive on
A
it.
couple of reasons why that, for one thing, it's over the septic system,
Oh,
so,
that's
you can have a
Okay.
regular lawn over that, but you can't really
Okay,
do that
all
geo
right,
walk over it.
okay.
The second thing is if this is a concern about somebody parking there, I mean, if you had a lawn there, somebody could park there if they wanted.
Correct.
So,
Or turn.
I
But it
mean,
wouldn't be
yeah.
mapped out for
Sure.
them to park there.
what's that?
It wouldn't be mapped out for them to park there. It looks like a parking space. Is that what we want in the future homes of Sag Harbor?
It's like a parking space.
Yeah, it does.
Like my preference would be grass.
Mhm.
So if you're gonna put the septic system there and then just back out, it'll be a little bit of a hassle with 3 sequential cars. But I think it's
Can you,
what is required.
can you even
in this-
drive
Can you
over
drive
that
over this?
area?
Anthony,
Are you even allowed?
Yeah,
to
I mean,
Ah.
the new IA systems, they're specifically made that they can be, you can have traffic driven over them, it's just the there's one component of it that you can't drive over, but the actual tank and the leaching pools, you can.
that's what I was gonna say, that you can put a slab over a good part of that system. So you could designate you could do it,
But a slab is made of what?
concrete.
Oh, that's pretty
The point
ugly.
is that
It's
you
under,
don't-
it's gonna be under the grass.
Oh, under, all right. I would go for as much grass as possible. And as little gravel as possible.
I agree. Front yard grass, I think is the right.
Well, and gravel driveways, the gravel shoots everywhere. And, I mean, I have one next door to me and it's a nightmare. So,
This is a curious conversation because we're talking about windows that aren't really going to be visible from the street almost. And this parking, but I do think that although I had parked a car in my front lawn for a long time, it was not a pretty sight. It was really not. In fact, I'm seeing it now. So,
Would would the owner go, go along with the grass there?
I would have to discuss with them.
So motion to table
Okay,
two.
Because that was the holdup kind of
Right,
it last
before we
time,
do that.
when you weren't here, we were talking about how that
I
would.
think it was a bigger discussion too about what the landscaping was gonna be and where,
Yes,
you know, where
yes,
the
but I mean,
required-
that's what zeroed us in, that there wasn't any landscaping plan yet.
I think before we table this, I just, I mean, the window, while I understand your point, the window question here kind of surprised me because we've been here
I know.
4 times now and that never came up before. So I just want to reiterate here, is there anything else here that is going to be a concern that might come up as we go through this?
Is this the first time that we've seen a rendering?
Yes.
yes.
Because renderings
They're
do
in,
magic on this board,
yeah.
apparently.
I don't know if it's magic, but
Visualize really well, so good.
any other comments or discussions? I think, Anthony, you know what you need to discuss with your client. And I think that there's no guarantee that the images you showed us that those plants aren't going to grow and someone's going to stop cutting them, right? So maybe this could be much ado about nothing, but I do believe that we made some comments. And you know us well enough to know that everybody doesn't vote the same way on this board. So I think maybe you want to talk to your client about this, and I know it's one more time.
Anthony, could you hold up the landscaping plan again? So, and the driveway is
Driveway is
On the
is
bottom.
there, and it's made of what?
gravel.
Gravel. And what is the going into from the driveway into the street? What do you have? What's the plan? Yeah.
Here? or-
Yep.
So is Belgian block on
Bel-
the,
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like, just a
Enough
solid
to-
apron, which is
To
what's
help keep
required.
the gravel out of
Yeah.
the street and the sidewalk,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, and then the
But I think
gap in the
that's-
middle is where they want to park the cars and turn around, I guess, really.
I have gravel on my driveway, for example, and there's a way to make sure that it doesn't. I think I don't know what they put underneath there and then the gravel on top and it keeps it, the
Keeps it.
gravel.
Okay.
yeah,
Good.
it's,
I
I
do
think
think
we
there's
even
a
have it
way to
labeled here,
manage it.
yeah, it's like there's like a fabric mesh or something that they
Something.
use, we have that specified.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. But I think that turn area that you talked about, it would be useful to have that be grass rather than a turn area and just leave the driveway. But I think that's something you wanted to.
But there are pavers that you can use that grass grows through, they can be cut with a lawnmower. So there's a compromise opportunity here.
I wouldn't approve that
Why not?
personally.
Why?
Because it's
Have you ever seen
It's-
it used?
yes, I've seen it used. It's asking for parking directly in front of the house. And that's not typical of historic Sag Harbor properties. We have to move our cars when our dad needs to leave. That's just like, welcome to town. I don't know. Motion to table? Are we there yet?
Go ahead, make your motion.
Motion to
kiddo.
table 220 Madison Street.
All second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Who is here for 83 Main Street?
I think you can, adjourn.
Okay,
Motion to adjourn 83 Main Street.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Same thing with 127 Bay Street.
Motion to adjourn
They're just not here?
127
They
Bay
requested
Street.
adjournment.
Oh, yeah, okay.
All second?
All in favor?
Aye.
12 Amity also requested adjournment.
Oh, geez.
Motion to adjourn 12 M Street.
I'll second. You second, sweet second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you guys give me back the candy bars. All right.
Okay.
Well, I move that we close our public hearings and we open new business public hearings. Can I get a second? Give me a second. All in favor? Aye. All right. Who's here for 57 Palmer Terrace?
I am.
Aha,
Hi.
there she is.
Up here, sorry. Sorry for my non-appearance. Tiffany Scarlato, 36 West Water Street, Suite 202 for the property owners. I have Kyle Roos on the line as well, who developed some preliminary plans for the property. The last time we were in front of you, we did ask that Zach come and take a look at the property because we had some issues with its historic designation and its accuracy. So I don't, if we could probably, maybe the best thing would be, way to start would be for us to address those and see where we wound up with that. We do have a proposal in front of the board as well at this point.
You want to share with what you wrote up that?
I don't have it in front of me, I could give you a, let's get some visuals. So this house is listed, although the listing is confusing because it's got two different addresses. So I guess what is the actual, it's the Germain Street
I think it's
address
Palmer
that is
Terrace.
in the,
Oh.
I'm just looking for the,
It's 57 Palmer Terrace, but in the book, it's Jermaine. I think it's 59
90
Jermaine.
91.
91.
91, Jermaine.
91, okay, fine. So that made it a little hard. Anyway, apparently it has an interesting history. It's believed that the house was originally moved to this address. It's not documented. And that would be the smallish hip roof section, which has the dormer, attic dormer, and the kind of bay window downstairs. This is the facade we're looking at, and the window to the right. So that section, then that is at some point undetermined, enlarged with that section to the left, the hip roof extension that goes to the left, and then if you look down at the bottom corner, that addition sort of stretches in a oddly sort of pitched roof, stretches back quite a ways. So in effect, that really pretty much doubled the size of the house. The dormer in the attic is somewhat questionable in terms of whether it's original to that or introduced at a later point. Certainly the bay window is a kind of a 1950s kind of upgrade. It would seem from the map, I'm recalling from the map that I dug out, that there was a porch off. The foundation changes across the front of the house, where you get to where that front door is. And then at that point, I believe it changes to either block or concrete. So there was an alteration in that corner. What we came away with is that there's a question in my mind as to the integrity of what this original house was and why it was considered to be possess sufficient historical or architectural integrity to have been judged as such to begin with. But it is what it is. So I've never seen the renderings for what is being proposed, but I think there's a question as to whether or not the building itself is of historical value. That's why I was curious to see how it's described here in 1.5 story, 3 bay with altered fenestration, including picture window, asbestos cladding. Although altered, this simple house retains its roof profile and historic proportions. Well, these documents are pretty reliable, but every once in a while, one of these gets, it's hard to follow.
But but based on that though, Zach.
Yeah.
It's still to be considered in the historic district
It
a
is.
contributing property,
Yes.
therefore needs to comply with. Any changes need to comply with the historic nature as much as possible.
Well, if you, yeah, the only issue is there's a house, I think once, and perhaps twice in the history that I can recall here, where a property that is in the nomination form, described as such, is kind of misunderstood, misrepresented as such, and I'm a little uncomfortable with this, because I don't think it's been described accurately. First, its history is unknown, it's believed to have been moved here and then basically doubled in size. And then the original, so-called original section has also been altered with its fenestration. So to me, it's a borderline house in terms of its architectural qualities. So it is in the district, listed as such.
Right. So which components do you consider historic, and then as we look at what is being requested?
Well, it would be the original, right, so the original pyramidal roof cube. It has those new windows and the dormer window, that section is the original. Okay, yeah.
The one map that you showed us, right, that you
Yep.
that you sent to us, there was a marble work, it said in the building?
Yeah, the marble work was established across the street from Oakland.
Mhm.
Cemetery. And that's documented on the map, I guess,
Right.
in the 1870s, in the Beers map of 1873, at that corner.
There was also a marble works on the corner of
Yeah, for us.
Germain and Suffolk
Right, right.
Extension.
Okay.
So the marble works was removed, and then it
Yes.
said, then you felt that the house was constructed to replace it.
Or moved to that site.
Okay, yeah, that's what we thought, maybe
Yeah,
too,
that's-
right? That little,
that's-
that little part, right?
Yes.
So then from, what are we trying to work to retain
So
out of this facade? Cause
Well,
the
it's
green bit in the
right.
middle is the front, is that, I'm just trying to
Yeah,
figure out
that-
what.
The
which
one
is
in the middle, the green in the middle with the bay window is what faces Germain, so that's the facade. The actual entry door is around the corner facing
Yes,
to the
yeah,
side,
that-
and that's in the lower right.
Facing Palmer Terrace, is that the?
Yes.
That's the ending of it.
So that lower right door is the front door?
Yes.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, looking out onto Palmer Terrace.
Right.
It's on
So the basic issue becomes if even that original section is considered, you know, architecturally significant, identified in the form, then that in turn kind of controls, you know, the scale, the extent, the design of anything that's proposed.
Yeah,
That's,
I think the most important thing that's written in that nomination form is the
Uh-huh.
last line that says, although it's altered, this simple house retains its roof profile and historic proportions.
Mhm.
So anything that the applicant is proposing would completely obliterate that.
so what is he proposing?
So what is being
I was
proposed?
assuming that yellow.
Yellow?
This is-
Yeah.
To go
So
from,
take the,
Yellow.
to take the front yard from the lower right to the lower left yellow?
They're gonna add a second story, so it,
Yeah.
Right, it would be a second story addition to the house.
you see the original at the top there of the green, right?
Yeah.
That's, they're going to take and that's what they're gonna replace it with.
Bottom left.
Yeah, and the
Yeah,
orange.
they're doubling the size of this property,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Almost.
Well, they're
I'd
making.
say tripling.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
It's not quite tripling. It is over 50% expansion on a non-conforming house, yes, but it is not quite that large. So it would be
Well,
about 2,800 square feet in total. Kyle Ruse is on the line. He is the designer for the project, and if you would entertain him just going over some details of the project itself with you, or the proposal. Again, these plans were done prior to the point at which we discovered that the house was listed as contributing under a different address.
Okay,
So understand that we can still modify these plans, but I'll have Kyle go over these issues with you.
that would be good.
Kyle, you're muted.
Oh, yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, hi Kyle.
Yes, how you doing? Yeah, so I guess tonight I thought that the main thing was that we were going to determine whether the structure that exists there now has any is historic, because of all the changes that had occurred to the property.
It's 100 years old.
I
What's
don't
that?
necessarily think that the entire house is 100 years old. I don't even know if any part of it is 100 years old at this point.
I think the basic shape.
But let me just make sure I understand, right? And Zach, please
Yeah.
keep me honest here. You're saying this house is in the historic district.
Yes.
It's in the registry as a contributing property. And despite the fact that there are changes that have been made that may or may not be historic, we are still to treat this home as needing to meet historic district proportions based off of the contributing front. I mean, the controlling component is the front of the house,
Not the whole front, the
just the
pyramidal roof, that little cube.
little cube, right?
At the right.
So by the regulations that we have, doesn't a proposal mean that we can't double the front? If we are to use the front as the controlling element?
Well, the code doesn't read that way. In other words, the zoning code says 20 feet, 30 feet, all those. Your code doesn't. You have a wider latitude to look at what is existing and what is proposed or to be proposed, and what would preserve or enhance what's there, or what would detract from it, or what in effect an extensive increase in size and scale such as this really makes what's there disappear.
Yes.
So that would not be
Well,
inappropriate.
this would be based on this, if I'm reading
Yeah.
this correctly.
Yeah.
The front, the back addition, the addition would overwhelm what is in the front, which is a rule that we have said we would not adjust for properties in the historic district. So I'm happy to be corrected, but if the
No.
front cube is what we're working with, then
Right.
doesn't it mean that anything that is in the back has to be lower than what's in the front?
Usually.
Or scale, in this
Or
case,
scaled proportionally?
to be reasonable, I think with a house of such modest scale, an addition could be scaled similarly, but attached in such a way that you still can see or appreciate what is there to be preserved.
Correct.
I mean, it's hard to go, lower than 17 feet,
Yes.
kind of, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you have latitude in your judgment as to what's appropriate to add into this. But I was simply bringing up the origin story for this building, if you will, is somewhat in question. But what we do know is it was there in 1994 when the district was created.
And it's on that,
something in
it's on that
the
map from 1937.
Right.
Yes.
So we have what's similar to what Helmsley proposed about her hotel, right? With her maintaining the facade and building a tower
Yes.
in the center.
Yes.
So you indicated that you guys were not aware of the limitations on what you could do with this house. I think we talked to the yacht club about this. Well, that was timbers. But maybe there's some way we maintain the integrity of what's on the street. You build something further back that shows that it's simple. It's different. It's not original.
Somebody has already done that.
Okay.
I don't know.
The library.
It's the same.
It's 7 or 8 years ago, somebody bought that little house and put some stuff on it.
Tiffany, is it the same owner that?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
Yes, the same owner has owned the house for a number of years at this point.
and they didn't add anything on to
No.
what we've seen, you know, in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s,
Mhm.
90s. They didn't change the house.
That's right.
Did they not, or did they?
I thought
No,
there's a
they changed
little,
the paint color.
Yeah.
There were some exterior elements added.
Uh-huh.
As far as the main house itself, no, there were no changes.
Wasn't added on to or anything.
yeah.
They had, I know they have a little pool behind the,
Mhm.
right.
Correct. And as I said, I mean, I do take a little bit of issue with calling it a small house in a tower. Keep in mind, these drawings were done before we became aware that it was listed under a different.
You mentioned that, no, I was citing, I was not
I
commenting
understand.
on the architecture. I was saying that the way Helmsley addressed this.
Oh,
was
no,
they
yeah, no,
maintained the front facade, right, and the visuals from the street,
right. with
and
the
they built
giant-
a tower within. In this case, I was saying that maybe you could look at maintaining this historic structure and adding to it towards the rear. If I remember the blue house, it's a pretty big piece of property. So it might give you some options there.
Large lawn.
Yeah.
It is, there is a fairly expansive front lawn there, but some of the idea at the beginning of this process was to keep sort of that pastoral landscape across from the cemetery, and sort of as you go down Palmer Terrace, we've always had this expansive types of front yards. So the idea behind it originally, like I said, prior to the point at which we became aware that it was listed as a contributing structure, those were the thoughts behind it, but we're happy to take it back to ownership and come back to you.
Okay.
Can I also ask, as I'm just looking at pictures of the existing property, Zach, maybe this is a question for you. It looks like there's a front house and then maybe it's a garage or a secondary
That's
property.
just
Is the back
That's
not
the neighbor.
contributing?
That's-
It's not a contributing factor. Okay,
That's the
got it.
neighbor. That's the neighbor. I think.
I think that's the pool house.
Oh,
The
okay.
little pool house.
Yeah, there is a small pool house on the property.
Yeah.
And so
I
that's
think
not
that's new.
considered.
That's new.
Yeah,
That's really new.
I knew they added something.
So this being a corner house, that does present some challenges.
Oh, yes.
So you're,
Yeah, so I would like you to go back and talk to the owner and, the architect who's present here. See if they can come up with something different.
It's also very noticeable
it
because you
is
come
a-
up Jermaine
it
and
is.
boom, there it
Yes,
is.
it is.
And it's very cute. And it would be nice to maintain the cuteness.
My impression is the house was bigger than it's being represented here in the green.
No, it's not. It's
Really?
very small.
Very tiny.
Maybe just it's so blue.
And they put so much in that little area there, they,
Mhm.
Okay. All right, well.
We're good.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. So I'll make a motion to table.
Second.
Okay.
92 Bay Street.
So this is a public hearing, so you're going to go ahead and open the public hearing?
Motion to open the public hearing.
Not a second.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Oh, I know. Oh, this is the, okay. Yeah.
This is 92 Bay Street.
Here's a guy.
Can you please identify yourselves?
Yeah, sorry, good night.
Okay. Your name's on the computer.
Good evening, board. Catherine Bowers Cray from Creekwood, BC, representing the owner of, the applicant of 92 Bay Street in Sag Harbor. We were here last month. We presented renovation and additions and a pool and a garage. And based on the comments from the board and the neighbors, we have revised the application. We have reduced the garage and pushed it further back. We pushed the pool further back. And we also reduced the building coverage by about 2%, proposed lot coverage by 2%. And we're only proposing less than a 300 square foot addition onto the existing structure. So here we have the site plan that shows the existing two-story dwelling, and then as we discussed last month, it's gone through a couple additions, so there's the main front, and then there's a two-story addition, and then there's another flat roof rear addition. So, and Ricardo Romalaru, the architect of the project, is here. He's gonna take you through a detailed overview of the changes and what's in front of the board today.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, yeah, Kenny said basically we just have pushed before it was a two-car garage, now it's a one-car with a little bit extra space. The pool equipment will be inside, so it's soundproof. We submitted some renderings of how this garage will be visible from the street. And then also we have to push the pool backwards. We are relocating the outhouse, the little square that you see above the pool. Basically, we are expanding the footprint, which that hasn't changed, 4 feet towards the towards the east. On the ground floor, the second floor also. That's it. I mean, basically, what we're proposing is to take that flat roof, 1 story, the very last piece of the house, and turn it into a 2-story gable. That will basically be the same roof line as the middle section.
Elevation.
Yes, we can go to the elevation. So these are the front elevations, and basically the lower is existing, the middle one is what we showed you last time. And the one above is basically the proposed. In this case, nothing has really changed except the outline that you see in the upper right hand, which is not, doesn't have a hatch, and basically that will be very far behind. So that's why I'm not showing a hatch in this drawing, but that's basically how the extension on the back will be seen if we were flying on a drone, let's say at 15 feet above the street. But from a normal eye level, like on the street, like you wouldn't see that part.
It would be visible from Bay Street,
Yeah.
but he's showing it on the elevations.
Okay.
Shutters for those.
I think once we know that we're getting closer to having something approved, I can certainly do 3D renderings. So that you can see the reality of how it is gonna be. So basically just to refresh our memory, basically previously we were showing horizontal shiplet siding, and per the board request, and we changed it to shingles. And I have also, I'll give you. This is an additional material, it's not a change in design, but it's just some added material showing you the color tones and material information on what these elevations are gonna be. But it's the same design, just.
Thank you.
Yes.
We are basically just the only, substantial change will be that we're putting back the shoulders. That when we look at the historic pictures from 100 years ago, the front facade has shoulders. So we are proposing to put them back. We would like to do the window sashes. All the windows are getting restored. So we will do the window sashes in a horrible name for a photo, raccoon 4. It's basically almost like a charcoal gray. The shoulders will be gunmetal, and basically everything else will be gray owl, which is a light gray with a warm undertone. And the roof will be red cedar shakes. The siding will be white cedar, and we'll let it age naturally. The existing foundation has a brick face, a red brick face. We, under this proposal, we wanna redo the basement. The house will stay at the same elevation, but we wanna redo the basement, and it will be concrete, and we will replace the brick. But I would like something a little more muted instead of just like a red brick. So we are proposing this brick, which is called Old City Brick Veneer, and it has almost like a whitewash
Right.
to it. So it wouldn't be so bright.
Softer.
Yeah, a little soft. And then the next, so that's for the front.
The door is what color?
It's called Narragansett green. It's, you see it on the upper right on the squares. So it's it looks kind of like a dark
I got
gray,
it.
but it does have a
I got
green tone.
Yeah.
And
It's
we
good.
would like to do it in a high gloss.
Mhm.
That I guess you see it on the other elevation, but basically this awning over the front door, basically on the existing right now on the side, it has a trellis that we would like to open it up. So, but we would basically keep the same design. And
So remove the trellis, is that what you mean?
on the sides, yeah, and you will see it on the other elevation where we
This is on
turn
the
around.
door, this is on the front door.
Yeah,
on the side.
Yeah, like that, sorry, I said the wrong word, yeah.
I'm sure it was added on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I just have one question.
yeah.
Are you keeping the fenestrations the same size? It looks in your diagrams that you're increasing.
So basically on this elevation.
Let's
we
go back to
are
the front
In
elevation.
the front.
Yeah, let's go back to the front elevation.
No, it's the same, we're
The
restoring
the same sizes?
Yes.
You're just changing the shape of,
Adding shutters.
adding shutters.
We are adding shutters, but the windows are staying the same,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
And you know, and I guess when I can also later submit, Megan had requested in the last meeting that I submit basically marking what exactly we're changing and what we're not changing. So for example, in this facade, like we're basically restoring everything.
Right.
And obviously there'll be new siding, new roofing, restore windows, repainted, all the moldings will be not replaced, just.
You're restoring the windows that already exist and putting them back in.
Yes, yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Yeah,
So they're in decent shape, so, you know, it's.
yeah, they're beautiful.
I guess I would make an argument if there were some that were like not in good shape, or in the case of these ones, like they are in pretty good shape.
The whole house, actually.
So I guess we can move, if you're okay, I can move to the next slide.
Could I ask about these windows on the right-hand side with the curved tops?
Yes.
What's the story on them? They really
Exist.
don't look like they belong in this house.
This,
Existing, no, they're there, they exist.
Yeah, okay,
We can show you, we do have one more picture of the house.
yeah,
And you can see that the round window is there.
okay,
And actually, the house originally had I guess it was a brick revival house that then was turned into Victorian.
Right.
And
Mhm.
was added some Victorian details.
Okay.
And along that, there was a front porch that then was removed. And I believe that it will be my assumption that sunroom on the left side was part of the porch. And then it was then enclosed.
uh-huh,
Yeah.
Right.
But it's an
Okay.
assumption.
yeah,
No, it makes
Was an
sense.
addition from the 1870s.
yeah,
So you
yeah,
basically have a Greek revival house, which, two new periods. One is 1870s, it gets a porch. It gets those Italianate casement windows on the first floor that you can walk out of onto the porch.
mhm,
Okay. It gets a roof line that's rebuilt and supported on paired brackets.
uh-huh,
Has a whole new roof. And then those arched windows, including the little bay that sits off to the side,
mhm,
are all of that.
mhm, mhm.
And then the third period is colonial revival, turn of the century, you get that covered stoop. And the whole glazed, enclosed sunroof built up. So there are really three very
Yeah,
distinctive areas. But so far you're preserving.
Yes.
Does the board have any other questions on the front facade?
oh, well, at some point, I want to question your idea about the bricks on the foundation.
Okay.
And see if Zach has an opinion, because I don't think houses in Sag Harbor have brick foundations that look like this, that is this color.
Okay, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm willing to make any adjustments that you
Mhm.
feel like it will be, make the house fit best.
Yeah, I would also make that note about the windows that are in the basement. Those look like brand new windows.
Those, I mean, we can go see the house.
I've seen the
okay?
house.
Yeah,
I know what the house is.
yeah.
So I'm just
So-
saying you're gonna replace the windows with new windows there?
I am, what I said is that we're planning to restore everything.
Restore, they don't look like this now. This isn't what they look
That's
like.
because they're painted dark. and that's-
No, they have panes on them. And this is like two sliding panes,
Which
More
windows?
modern.
the basement windows.
Basement.
Hey, the back.
Sorry, I was up on the main floor.
So, what, sorry.
They're paned windows
They're
right now.
paned basement windows and those look like
Yeah.
corporate office windows.
And they just have a metal.
Well, they'll have to
Yeah, just
annotate
in the
them as
rendering,
being
do
preserved
that
and
way.
restored also.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
So if it's, a mistake on my part, then I would adjust the drawings accordingly. Let's see.
It's just metal panes in the front, so they're probably security.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think it's secure in this house.
No, they are, I mean, I'm looking at a picture here on my phone. There are two panes, but they have basically metal, iron bars. in
Iron
front.
bars in the front.
Yeah, but the actual window is a two pane.
2 panes, okay.
Yeah,
Well, along with the other windows, you can restore those.
yes, yeah.
On to the side.
They had the iron door to keep everybody out.
Yep.
So on the side, so again, also the 15 is the lower image. The middle one is what we previously submitted, and then the top one is the revision that we're presenting right now. At the bottom, you see a red outline, and that's basically the currently proposed outline on top of the existing house. So on the front area of the house, which is the one on the right, we would like to add 2 windows to that facade. And the only reason is not from an exterior aesthetic, I wouldn't wanna change what's there, but it will help us from the interior layout to have an extra window there, so it's something that we wanna.
It looks
see.
fun.
And-
no, it looks like you're changing the roof of the covered porch
And
though.
to basically fit in those windows.
Right,
We would cut basically the hip of that gable and.
I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that.
Can you say more why?
Cause this is a historic house in the historic district. And we're changing things that are clearly visible from the street. Just to,
This is the side, right?
yeah. It's a corner lot.
Zach,
This
what-
is the view from High Street.
Zach, do you feel
But
it's a
but
big
is this-
deal for it not to have the point there?
Well, I mean, that hip roof sun porch is a distinctive element of its period. And it's always a little tricky to change the exterior elevation to accommodate a change of use. Because you don't care how, you're not caring how the.
Floor plan, we're not involved.
I would say, but you have entertained, converting a window into a door or adding a window. I would say that one of those 2 windows could be introduced without
Right.
disturbing the pitch of that roof. Because if you see where the roof line is in the middle image, it rises up just below the windowsill of, not the one in the middle, but the one to the left in the middle. So there is, so I wouldn't regard that as a major compromise for that facade to gain a window. But certainly to clip off the roof in order to accommodate 2 windows is a bigger.
Okay, so you could add You can see
One
the
window.
One window, the one to the left and the one
Of
to
the two in the middle.
of the two.
Yeah,
in the
and
middle.
then
Forgo the
keep
one
the,
in the middle and just.
Yeah.
Not change the rule, yeah.
Not change.
And
Not
not,
change
not,
the roof.
and Zach, not reduce that right middle window, new window, so that it remains above the pitch of the roof, because that would be inconsistent, you'd have three the same height and then one a smaller window, so you're saying don't add a window altogether.
just have 3 windows
Just
instead
add
of
the
2.
one, not both.
I mean, instead of 4.
And that's a decision, I mean, that is a change, but
Did you have to change the pitch of the roof over
I don't
the
think,
porch
I
in
don't
order
think
to
so.
do that?
No.
No.
I
It
don't think you
seems
do.
that the pitch of the roof remains the same, it's just, it comes up to a point because it can. You know, it's against the wall,
Mm-hmm.
so there's nothing in the way of it, I think if you're able to just truncate the point such that you can introduce that one window to the left of it, but not the one in the middle, which is not possible. I think that would be a relatively minor alteration.
Without changing it.
You're saying yes to the truncation of the roof?
No, you have to.
Oh, I see, all right, got it.
Middle
Yeah, there's no reason for
elevation
it, yeah,
to continue that roof line up and it sails up just below the window sill.
right, right,
So there's room for that window, not the one to the right.
yeah.
So next is the height of the extension. Is that an extension to the?
Is this side
Left.
second front window, second front side?
This is the side, this is the side yard.
That you
view.
see going up High
Okay, but
Street.
it's a corner lot, right? So
Yeah.
does this represent a second front yard, this view?
Yes.
It's basically the second from.
Yes.
Okay.
So he's basically, the one previously is from Bay Street, this one is from.
High Street.
So is that a covered porch?
No, so we had a covered porch on the previous submission. We have since decided to just eliminate it. And I guess that'll be something that on the rear elevation, when we go next, you'll see it. But basically the first floor is bumped, there is a 2 feet bump out over there. And what I would like to do is have a 2 feet balcony on the second floor.
Okay.
If the board agrees. So, but it's just basically 2 feet deep. There is no structure coming over the patio. And, you know, we went back in the site and you will see that there is a stone patio, like an outdoor dining, because that's the area where the kitchen is. But there won't be a cover. And we have lowered the roof line per the suggestion of the board. So just to give you numbers, the existing pitch, the ridge of the existing structure is 15.9 from basically the finished floor. And right now we have it at 19 from the finished floor. So we are proposing to raise the pitch, the ridge 3.3. So 39 inches. And when you are standing inside on the second floor, the height point is 8.5 feet. And then it goes down to pretty low, like 5 feet. So in order to gain some more habitable space with enough code compliant height, we want to do a dormer, like a shed dormer in the middle, so that we can have a bedroom there. Those will be the windows coming out into the balcony in the middle. The 2 in the middle will be a French door that you don't see it fully because the railing is covering it. And then the ones on the sides are just
I
normal windows of 30 inches.
So are you expecting to step out on that 2 foot deep porch? Is that a porch?
I
Is that a-
mean, you know, the client thinks that it will be like a nice thing to just open the French doors in the morning and like step out and look at the garden. Maybe, to your point, I guess maybe they wouldn't go all the way to the side, but then the question was like, from an aesthetic, if I just keep the railing in the middle, then that flat area on the side would look a little off, I thought. So maybe it's not usable, the ends of the balcony, but just from an aesthetic thing, that's why I decided to just carry it all along the top of the bump out. And then Judith in the last meeting had raised a concern that the attic window on the back of the house that we'll see on the other elevation, that she wanted to make sure that we're not blocking it. And part of this presentation includes a cross section of the area where the new and the old meet, and showing like, you know, how the two interact and how we're not messing with the attic window, the triangular window, or any of the cornice
right.
of the house, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we go back? So also I have, when I presented prior, which was a discussion item, we didn't have topographical information, so I was just showing a flat line for the site. But in reality, the contour, it slopes up 3 feet from the front of the house to the back. So now that's why you see a natural sloping, and in the drawings below, you just see a flat line. So that eliminates the need for a railing on the stone patio, because we're very close to the ground there. And that was another thing that was requested in the previous meeting.
Okay, got it.
Next one.
Yes.
Can I ask a question or no?
Yes, you can.
Okay, thank you. So back to the previous slide?
The side?
Slide.
Slide, yeah, the east, okay. Hi, I'm Donna and I live at 88 High across the street. I'm not quite following, so forgive me. I looked at a plan Carrie kindly showed me.
Don't we wait for questions? I don't hear.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry, I'm sorry.
We should wait for.
I'm sorry. All right.
Okay, so
We can finish our presentation, please.
Okay,
Thank you.
so I have a question now
About this.
about this. Just getting back to you raising the roof level higher. You said from 8.5 feet to how many feet?
We're raising the ridge of
The
the
ridge?
back portion, 39 inches.
39, so 3 feet.
From the original, but overall, from our last presentation, we lowered it about 2.7 feet. From last month's
Which is the middle.
presentation. Yeah, this
Yeah.
section here.
The general comment on the discussion item 2 weeks ago was that the addition was competing too much with the original house. Even though it seemed very little in scale, it was competing too much. So what we tried is to come down and simplify the design, eliminate the covered porch, less railing overall. And so that hopefully, it's more, obviously it's bigger than what we have, but in the existing conditions, that second floor is a really like low attic that would not meet code in today's thing, and we wanna be able to put a proper bedroom there. So that's what we're hoping to accomplish here.
Do you have any idea of the type of railing you want to put on the patio?
Yeah, I wanna, so for the railing on the balcony, we were thinking of square post wood with chamfered corners. So I can also present details if. So it will be more, I guess if the house had Greek revival, Victorian, and then colonial, so we would, I guess this would be considered more like on the colonial style. So we definitely don't wanna compete with the more ornate styles of the house. And even though we can assume that maybe the original ridge, the middle section of the house was maybe there from the beginning, but perhaps it could be that that's flat roof and that the back was an addition. We just don't know when.
So we do know that there is a 19th century rear addition. So that's the 1800s.
Okay.
So an argument could be made that adding a second story to that addition conflicts with the integrity of a historic house. So perhaps a second story over this rear addition is inappropriate.
Zach.
Perhaps. Well, I mean, that's the judgment they're gonna have to make. My guess is that that one-story extension was the kitchen. You'll notice that the door itself was replaced. That's 1870s round-headed panel door leading into that. So if you decide, and certainly the once further flat roofed addition comes on at some other point in time, no way of knowing, unless we study the frame, but so the question becomes, are you wanting to preserve everything there is about a structure that's standing? Or do you permit, an addition that is scaled and detailed in such a way that it relates to the main block of the house? Choice.
1800s is 200 years ago. This is a beautiful house, a real gem in the historic district of Sag Harbor.
Which we are intending to preserve, the gem section of the house.
The whole house is a gem. That's the thing.
Okay.
The addition is from the 19th century. That's historic. And it's part of the story of the whole house. And we're here to preserve the history of this village.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let's continue. Okay.
I mean, one could make an argument that.
I am making the argument.
But the house has evolved throughout the years, and it's just one more evolution.
Yeah.
Respecting the style and not competing with the original house. So it is.
You're losing the back end of it.
Every house that comes in front of you is some sort of alteration. So if you don't wanna touch anything, then every proposal in front of you should be denied.
There's nothing wrong with protecting the integrity of historic homes. That's what we're here for.
I think, speaking of council, speaking here, the question isn't so much as, the question should be couched in, can this applicant achieve the benefit that he gets while still protecting? It's not mutually exclusive, either protecting or getting this application. Mr. Studenroth, do you concur?
Yeah, absolutely, and the board needs to make a judgment. We just discussed the option, instead of 2 windows, perhaps 1 would be less of a alteration.
Historic districts and historic structures aren't locked into their primordial state. The whole reason that we have this board with discretion is to weigh each application on a case-by-case basis and see if that, and if this board or any member thereof wants to disagree, we need to make a good code compliant, well thought out finding to withstand Article 78. That's just council's opinion.
So please continue. We should really comment on this in its entirety. It's taking a little long and there are other people waiting, but.
So moving to the rear elevation. So again, bottom part is existing, the very top one is what's proposed. So, and then the red outline will show you how the new one is expanding over the old.
You've eliminated the middle. The middle was a prior proposal.
Yeah, that was a discussion
last
item.
time.
Yeah. So we should just ignore that one. It was a discussion item. We're just gonna show you
Got it.
that we took the comments into consideration.
Right, that you,
So-
yes, listened. and-
We made it smaller, simpler, we took away the bay window that, the board didn't like, we lowered the whole back section, like prior you had to walk up steps just to get to the back stoop, the kitchen door,
Right.
we completely removed that, lowered it over 2.5 feet. So it wasn't stealing away the thunder of the main structure, we have minimized it, we have simplified it, in keeping with the historic evolution of this village. I'll let you.
Yeah. I mean, just, it's just windows. I also decided the original has some very random windows. And they're all, that area definitely seems like the windows have been replaced. They don't have any divided, some of them are aluminum. So, there is a historic door on the left. And then we're keeping the door, we're just relocating it. And, the idea is that the new one, while it's certainly larger, we wanted to, yes, for lack of, I wanted to preserve a little bit of the coordinates of the area. That's why the windows are smaller, different, so there is different configurations. It's not very even as the rest of the house. So that's basically it for the back. And then if we turn around, that will be the neighboring property, so sheet 9, I guess. And that's again how the existing at the bottom and then proposed at the top. And we have the shed dormer, we have some
So weird.
small windows at the top. And that's it, I think.
And I'm sorry, what the windows in the front of the house, to the left on the top floor above the bay window or the arched windows?
Yeah.
That's what is that, 6/6?
That is 6/6, but there are, one thing that we are proposing to eliminate, but if you oppose them, of course, we just put them back, but there are some 3/3, basically 6 windows, square windows there that, you know, we can choose to leave them there, but we were trying to simplify that
That's
side.
also been an alteration of some sort.
Yeah.
They don't look like they were,
No.
Yeah,
No,
so,
but the new windows that you're adding in the dormer,
yes,
what are those?
those are basically 6 panes.
3/3.
3/3. So essentially look like it's half the window.
Yeah, it's almost like a clear story window, yeah. The next sheet would be the connection, a cross section of the connection of the new. That area has a flat area, a flat cut on the left, so basically we're not touching the ornaments of the corner, no the cornice, not interfering with the triangular window. And that's also showing the egress of the basement, which it will not be visible from the street, but just showing how it's coming out. And then I guess if we go to sheet number 13, it will be a color version of the presentation of the elevation that I showed you. And I faded the extension a little bit just to show you that that's actually set back from the original. So they are not sitting on the same.
But it will be the
plane.
same when
It
you,
will be the same color, everything, yeah. And then we also have on sheet 11, the garage. So just to show you, and I think we have a rendering of it. Okay. Basically, that's the design for the garage.
And where is the garage on the plan?
it's off of Bay. Yeah, you
Touch
go.
behind.
Yeah.
I see.
It's, I mean, high.
So you enter on High Street?
Yeah.
You enter on high, yeah.
So original. Yes, yeah, I can pull it up. The original design, the original site plan.
I said, do you have a picture of the existing garage?
Oh, there is no existing garage.
There is no,
No. There's an existing like a falling over outhouse that we're keeping. And
outhouse, yeah,
but
that little
there's
square
no,
guy.
yeah, little square guy. The garage is proposed new.
Okay. Because the nomination form says that there's a contributing circa 1890 outbuilding, which is vague. So that could have been the garage, which has gone missing. Or it could be the outhouse, which you still have.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to check that box.
Public comment?
Okay, we can invite the public to comment. Okay, have you completed your presentation?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anybody here who'd like to comment here in person or remotely? Please come forward.
Hi, my name is Ted Porter, and I live at 69 High Street, which abuts the very short, well, I'm pointing at this screen, the very short edge of the property. And I just wanted to confirm that you said at the beginning, the pool equipment is within the garage?
It will be inside now. We
Is that
changed
all of the noisy pool equipment? Is that everything that's related to the
Yes.
noise that the pool?
Yeah,
equipment
actually, what
makes
we-
Goes inside the garage?
What we are proposing, which we haven't gone into detail, but there will be a basement, a small basement on the other section, and the pool equipment is going underneath. There will be covered, and there will be, so basically there is no way for the noise to come up to outside.
And I don't know if it's appropriate in this board to ask, I know this project originally asked for 6 variances. How many did you get?
So we are on again for May 20th. We were on last month and we are still seeking revenge after.
Well, it was just this issue of why are variances granted so the
Sure,
developer
so
can
there
make
are
more
two-
money on the project?
No, there are
That's a
two-
ZBA question, that's not really
I'm sorry.
germane to this board.
Okay, but I'm glad you, thank you for answering the board. I just want to, I know sometimes things are said they're going to happen and then they don't actually follow through. So seeing that you're going to have a basement in the garage, I can see you constructing it, and that's going to hold it. I appreciate
Yes,
it.
and before we were, in the prior presentation, we had the pool equipment off to the side, but it was also enclosed.
But now it'll be
And by code, it needs to be soundproof anyways, but we decided just to, let's avoid any problems, you just put it underneath, so.
That's my
Yeah.
concern. Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Can I just clarify one thing real quick?
Sure.
No variances are required for the house, it's solely for the garage and pool, because it has 2 front yards.
Thank you.
Donna?
Okay, it's okay to ask a question now? Thank you.
Yes.
So I'm at 88 High, directly across, and forgive me if I didn't quite get it, but the extension now that would sort of be directly across from my house would be now not a 1-story with a porch, but a 2-story with a patio? Is that right?
Yeah, so
And a balcony.
And a balcony. And this patio, that is coming out towards High into what he's calling the garden area, am I right? And that's pretty big?
Yes, that is, to give you exact numbers, from the property line, the corner of the patio is, if I can read correctly, I think it's 43 feet.
Okay, I see,
And
yeah.
as you know, the sidewalks in High Street are also very wide. But just from the actual property line, which is where the existing fence is to the house, it is 43 feet and 1 inch to the corner. And then let's say you add another 10, 12 feet of sidewalk, so it's over 50 feet from the street. Also, I forgot to mention before, we are also proposing to move the fence inwards. We're not putting it right on the property line, we're putting it 5 feet inwards. And the idea is to have a hedge
in front of it.
covering the fence, and then some landscaping, like a planting bed in front.
So you're gonna have some big wall of greenery hiding
It's-
the house, is what you're saying?
The fence is 4 feet by code, has to be, but we are proposing to do a privet, I have said ilex in the prior presentation, it will be a privet hedge. And, those don't grow that high, so the idea will be to cut it at 6 feet high, just for privacy from the garden, but, from the outside, it's still something that you still get to see the house from the outside, it's just privacy in the garden.
I see, so a 6-foot privet around the entire property, is that what you're saying?
Correct, yes.
Okay, and then my last question is, that area that you're calling the garden now actually has other trees in it? And now it looks like they're all gone, is that true?
Yeah, well, the big, the really large oak trees are all staying. And there are some evergreens where there is a 2-car driveway. So where the existing driveway is, there is a few evergreens on the side. Those, we're planning to remove them, but we can bring an arborist to make a case for why we need to remove them, but they are not looking good. And some of them
Right.
are slanted, yeah.
Yeah, they're actually more behind the gate. They're sort of behind that gate area. And I
Yes.
hear you that they might not look the healthiest, but it wasn't clear to me how much you're allowed just to remove trees. So that was just another question I had.
Also, the
12
two
inches,
trees
right?
that you see by the garden, those will be a cryptomeria, so it's also an evergreen. It's actually a very nice looking evergreen, and it grows very fast.
The ones you're proposing by the gate are new trees? Because there's two big old trees there now.
Yeah, those are new trees.
Oh, okay. So that's my question, I guess, for the village, that if they're taking down a bunch of trees there, is that all okay?
Actually, it's not visible from here, what trees would be removed versus would be replaced. Like I get the big oaks on the right, lower right would remain.
Yeah.
But in the rest of what you're calling the garden area past the garden gate, is the person on the phone saying that there are existing?
Well, we have
trees
a village code here. I don't remember if it's 12 or 18 inches.
Well.
12 inches. So any existing tree that has a girth of 12 inches at 4.5 feet off the ground needs to have an arborist. And it should be retained unless there's a reason for it to be removed, disease, death, etc. So that's something we don't have to deal with because if those trees are 12 inches, and 12 inches is not a lot at all in diameter, they're going to stay there if they're healthy as you're suggesting. So
Some might be healthy, some not, but I'm particularly the ones by the garden gate, I think seem quite large. I'm not an arborist, so I won't attest to their health, but I'm not trying to say what should be done. It was more just trying to question. And also the earlier plan I had seen and I didn't quite recognize here, the privet all around. So yeah, so I guess and then I guess one last question, the patio has like a low railing around it. Is that what I saw from another image?
Not anymore.
Oh, not anymore.
So there is a low railing around the basement egress.
Okay.
There and on the side, so between the patio and the egress, you will have also a railing.
Okay.
But the perimeter of the other two sides of the patio don't have a railing.
It's all open, and it's great.
Also, the pool will have a eyeless hedge, this pool patio, and there will be 4 linden trees to screen the pool from the street for privacy. And then the other 2 trees that you see by the garage, those are 2 big, large herb myrtles that are there right now, and we are gonna relocate them, but they will be the same trees. And those are about, I would say, at least 18 feet high. So they are, for a herb myrtle, they're pretty large.
okay.
Thank you.
Have you submitted a landscape plan?
Right there.
That's it?
Yes.
Well, it's hard to tell about what trees are existing.
I think what I need to mark it will be to mark what's being proposed to be removed. And I think for that, I need to talk to the arborist that we're gonna use and see what needs to stay, what needs to be removed. Also, we need to find a place to put a new sanitary system. So, and we are thinking that area close to the stone patio will be the optimal idea to put.
And you have to get permitted to remove the trees.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be a lot of review here. This is a discussion item.
No, it's not.
We're not? We're out of discussions?
No.
For your public hearing, you open the public hearing.
Oh. I would like a more detailed landscape plan, certainly with what you're gonna have, the plants, et
What's
cetera, et
there
cetera.
that's going to be removed
Yeah.
and then the new. I like the chart.
Are there any comments here in present or remotely?
I had some questions. If you would,
Please, go ahead.
if you would go back to the drawings that you showed us early of the plans of the three houses, the ones that you came up with, the elevations, the
Front, the side, the rear.
side. Okay. I wanted to ask about the running dormer at the top on the addition. It seems to have quite a few windows. Before you had 3 windows, now you have, okay, those are doors.
Windows on the side.
Okay, and you have a lot more railing, which you explained, you thought it looked better to have the railing be wider. I kind of think that looks busy. I don't know if anyone else thinks so too.
You know, Judith, I was thinking about a metal railing just because it'd be less visible than a wooden post railing. It'd be more invisible.
Yeah, somehow that looked busy to me.
Just the windows.
Yeah, the windows, the railing, the running dormer, it's almost making it a little top heavy.
I guess, 4 doors.
Yeah.
Compared to what it was before.
Because down below, it's quite simple, and then all of a sudden, there's all this heavier stuff
lot
on
of
the
glass.
second floor.
Getting back to our earlier discussion.
I mean, I could consider, I could study further development to address your concerns.
So maybe a pair of French doors. Without it.
I think they are French doors. I think they are.
Well, you don't, but there's like, all those 4 in the center open, right? You have 2 pairs of French doors. Am I reading that right?
No, the middle one is a French door with 2 fixed panels on the sides.
What?
Oh.
The middle one on the top?
And 2 windows.
Out of the 4, the center 2 open.
These
Right.
And the
two
ones
open.
flanking are fixed.
But it's still a lot of glass. Yeah.
Yeah, or a lot of mullions or lots of something. If it could be
Maybe 2.
somehow simplified.
Maybe 2 windows instead of 2 doors flanking it.
Yeah, that might be a good thing.
So, but are you opposed to the railing at all, or you think once let's say if I just put 1 French door in the middle and I eliminate the fixed panels on the sides, would it be?
Yeah, well, it occurred to me that if the railing came in,
Yeah.
the way it was in your second choice, that also it would simplify.
Yeah, okay, but I mean, let me study it because I could also reduce the railing to just be the middle part. And then do a sloping, a very short sloping roof on the sides and, because the thing is that middle, you don't, it's not that obvious in 2D, but that middle section is bumping out to 2 feet. So there is basically, if I reduce the width of the railings, I'm gonna have a corner that I need to either put a flat roof or put a sloping.
It doesn't go straight.
Okay, well.
Yeah, it looks like
But
it
I
goes
can,
straight.
Doesn't though?
I can do another development on that.
I don't think you need the railing to go all the way across.
And also,
That's the problem.
what I said about the foundation brick, if you, I don't know if you noted that
Foundation
down.
brick, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Uh,
those are my
you
comments.
think I should just go back to red for the?
Yeah, I think so. Zach would probably have more to say about the foundation brick.
Yeah, there's usually a problem with the concrete floor and the facing with the brick. And it sort of comes up in your drawing, that the front face of the foundation ends up aligning with the face of the wall of the shingle above it. And it should sit, it sounds small, but it's huge. It has to sit about 3-4 inches back. And invariably, it's too proud, so the brick is even forward of the shingle. You need the water to fall off the roof and not touch the brick.
So you need like a drip edge, you're saying?
Gotta be set back in.
So he's saying that this is veneer, so he's not saying that this
Well,
is
whether it's
full?
real brick or brick facing, it makes the foundation look too much.
Mhm.
And you also don't wanna support that colonial revival stoop, which is existing, with brick. Because if you look at the side elevation, because you've carried your brick out to become the steps going down, and there's a lot of brick on. That wooden stoop should be supported on wood. If you want brick steps, you build brick steps. If you want stone, you build stone, but you don't connect that flight of steps for masonry to the main foundation of the house with a brick wall. See what I'm saying? This has to be open underneath.
Okay.
The reason, I mean, is aesthetically, is it looks too heavy and too massive to have supported that whole wooden stoop with a brick foundation. And the reason is it wouldn't have been, it isn't now, I don't think. I can't remember what we saw.
I believe it's concrete right now.
It's concrete.
Yeah, the
So that was the
the
first-
size of brick, yeah,
That was the great age of concrete.
but I believe, I may be wrong.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it does come off as being kind of overly heavy and massive, and that's why traditionally, the wooden stoop is supported on wooden posts. You can have a little trellis lattice for underneath it. And then you have steps, and it's two separate things.
So you will be okay with us removing that from the side, from the small room?
Zach, it's actually brick. Take a look at that.
Well, that's the wall.
No, behind it, the street, the carrot underneath the,
I see the steps, you're going underneath this thing,
yeah. It looks
so I
like,
can't really see through the underbrush. Can you?
it looks like it's all.
Okay.
Oh, okay, make remembers.
Looks like it's.
Okay, we're finished?
Or any other comments or?
It's been a long.
It has been long.
I want to know what's gonna happen to the gates too.
To the gates?
Yeah.
We're keeping the gates, yeah, but
Okay.
they don't need full coat, so we are gonna keep them where they are. And then the 5 feet inward where we're putting the fence, that there will be a proper 4 foot high, full compliant gate.
Okay, cool. You'll put that like in the plan that you're keeping?
Actually, so to your point, the gate on High Street, we're keeping exactly where it is. The one, I had eliminated the one on Bay Street because it just leads into the garden.
Right.
Or if it's something that you want me to keep in place, we can keep it here.
The old iron?
Hmm?
Old iron gate?
There was one that was wrought iron, and then the other one was cast iron, and then the other one seemed more like wrought iron. So there are two different ones.
Yeah.
And completely different styles. It seems that they were brought into the house.
They didn't
at different
recycle
times.
iron, one was from a cemetery.
Really?
Iron.
Yeah, they're both
It's a
lovely.
typical cemetery gate to a family plot.
Oh, my.
So that's been recycled.
Yeah.
And then the other one is old. so
Old, yeah, and
I don't
then
know what it is.
The existing fence of the property, there is a fence. We have the FOIL file, and it was an ARB approved thing back in the 90s. I believe 1996 or 1991 or 96.
Okay.
For its reason.
Yeah.
It's not a historic fence.
Oh, no, it's not.
Yeah.
So are we tabling?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion at table.
And I'll second it.
Okay,
Favor.
aye, thank you. I'm getting tired. The energy, the bar didn't help.
The sugar in the candy bars that you bought. Trashy.
That's on purpose.
Okay.
Oh, pretty.
Who's representing 15 Joel's Lane? And I thank everybody who's in attendance for the patient. We only have two or three more items to go.
You staying? Come sit up.
Yeah, again, just to pull up the other file. Please.
Can your accompany Who are you, sir?
Oh, I just wanna pull it up and then.
He's the
I'll-
owner
Okay.
of the next house, I believe. Like he's gonna build it.
Yeah, what's his name?
Today is, I don't know,
Dave the eighth.
5/8.
Oh, it's that little.
Good evening, board.
Good
Catherine Bauer, Craig, PC, representing the owner of 15 Joel's Lane. Again, this application was in front of the board last month. Applicant is proposing a one-story structure over at 15 Joel's Lane and a pool and attached garage. Overall, we were on the discussion item, overall, the feedback is positive. But I do want to, just right away, show the board what we were looking at last month and what we're looking at today. So the lot is a little over a half acre. We are not
Oh, yeah.
going up against the building coverage numbers. We're well below building coverage, even though we are up against the overall coverage. Again, this lot is 0.58 acres. It has some challenging grade aspects, but the applicant and considering the neighborhood and the lot and the community, we are not trying to build a tall tower. It is one story. We have, the applicant has liked it, changed the color, try to keep it, create a softer structure on this property. And the owner, Dean Golden, he can go into more detail if you guys have any questions up front.
Can we see what you had last time?
Yes. Here's last time. So the board commented that it just felt a little heavy, a little
Right.
dark, wanted to.
Industrial.
So then we're looking at the west on that one that you just had up.
Yeah, so this is if you're standing on Joel's, this is the west elevation, this is the front, and this is the rear. We did go through the expense of creating a rear rendering.
Okay.
It is just, again, the cemetery behind the property, so we don't think too many people will be looking at the back.
I never know. Now, is this, how much, is this any smaller?
It is not any smaller. But
What-
again,
what
we
is this
are
for?
under building coverage.
No, I
No
know.
variance are required.
But it's
Yes,
this
ma'am.
image that we're looking at that's representative of what you're proposing.
Yes, this
Okay.
is now the revised application of what we are proposing.
So is it fair to say that what you changed was the color
am I
of the siding, right? So the style is the
Let me
same.
introduce myself, because I know it's appropriate. Dean Golden. I live at 1710 Bridgehampton Sagamore Turnpike. And I am the managing member of the LLC that owns it. I'm also the designer. I work with an architect, Gunnar Burke.
Okay.
The siding was commented on last time as being dark. And I responded by going, I'm accused of that. I thought it was too masculine. in my business. So I lightened it up, and then lo and behold, even I liked it better. Originally, I said I would come back with renderings both ways, thinking I might still want to do the darker building, but this is so much lighter on the landscape.
Yeah.
And it just reads very nicely, so I didn't bother with the dark one.
And just out of curiosity, what's in between the two, the horizontal and the vertical?
It is, it's the stairwell, which is behind the glass on the right side, and the door on the left, where the stairs are coming up, and there's a phantom woman going in there. And it looks right through to the backyard. So it's sort of like a little atrium entry
Yeah.
area with bedrooms to the left and day spaces to the right, basically. And then, because there's 10-foot elevation change on the right side, it afforded having a garage underneath the house rather than having a separate building somewhere else on the property. We had room to do that with the amount of coverage that were allowed, but not in terms of, and I believe if a garage is not attached, it's not included in the FAR. For areas of issue, but I decided to minimize that and put it under the house. along with a couple more bedrooms and such. You'll see in the plan, there's an areaway that goes all across the front of the house and comes away from the house 6 feet. And that coverage is also in calculation. Barbecue was here last time, asked that.
And you have there's a basement underneath
Yeah,
the left-hand side, is that it?
it? That's the foundation, there's the plan.
So it's a walkout basement essentially, so
It's
you
a
can,
walkout
from the
basement
garage,
on
you
the
can
street
walk
side.
down on the street side of that.
Right, well, the lot just offers that, that's a reasonable thing. You literally can walk out, you don't even need a ladder or anything, because as you go off to the right, you can just come right out. And so if you're parked in front of the garage, you can walk around the steps. And I pointed out last time that one little thing appeared there while we were doing this was that, hey, there's a perfect place for the garbage to be tucked into. Slot there and you see 3 garbage cans there. So you have a sliding door out of each of the bedrooms and a large sliding door out of the playroom. It just worked.
And what is the height of the vertical on the right? Sorry,
I'm
the
sorry.
whole house, if we go back to the front elevation,
Right, should we go to the,
what are the heights of the?
you won't see it so much in the drawing, there's sections. Yeah, here we go. So what do you see here? We see, in the back, it's like 18 and change, we're back on the larger space. The day space. But that includes the thickness of the roof and the parapet, part of the foundation. Is it really 18? I can't read.
Right here, 18.
It is, right. And then on the lower section by the street, it's 16. And then overall from the street, it's 26. You can see the challenge with the pyramid line here. Because of the, how much lower it is at the street. You see the red 22 on the bottom left. And it goes up to 39 at the back of the property. It's quite a difference. It's actually, take all of it, it's 17 feet difference in elevation. And what that does is it truncates the envelope for a 2-story building anyway. Though I had decided early on it was better to have it 1 story, so nobody was looking over that. Great, but anyway.
All right.
It's quite obvious this is not the historical district. Right.
Right.
And the comment that I made last time was that the street has only 2 houses that actually have any architectural detail. Most of the houses are really very plain boxes. But this relates more to the industrial building on the corner.
Right.
Right.
That's what
And
noted.
I think you actually pointed that out.
Yeah.
So,
Could you show the property line, please, you know?
sure, can you show that? Yes,
The property line?
yeah,
The property line, yeah. The survey?
the survey.
The overall survey, so.
Sure. Yeah,
So.
yeah, I remember last time we were using a flag.
Oh, very good.
And I'm willing to donate this to you. Hey, your property is here. And these grade lines match up with your grade. So there won't be a sudden change in the grade. This side of the house is very quiet. There's just some windows in the kitchen. The pool is over yonder and the outdoor patio and deck are away from your house. So you wouldn't have a tremendous amount of yapping and noise along your property line. And unfortunately, the only place the septic system can go is evergreen trees. So you'll see in my landscape plan, the idea is to move that tree down here. And I will be happy to do whatever we need to do. There's quite a bit of nice evergreen landscaping along the property. Some of it will get disturbed during the installation of the septic system. And we have more than that to be fine, as we need to, for you guys to maintain the privacy and have some separation. The nice thing is that this is all 1 story. mean, the ceiling in here is 14 feet plus, but it's still not 32 feet or 35 feet, which would be allowed by
Where does
code.
the 18 feet come in?
The 18
Just for the sake of the record, I'm sorry to interject, but
Yes.
if we're gonna have a discussion, if you just identify yourself for the record.
Oh, I'm Carolyn Conrad and I live at 19 Joel's Lane.
Thank you.
Of us.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got into a little personal. Anyway, we can have much more of a conversation if you and I would like.
No, I think I mean, voice needs to be. heard.
No, I'm 100%,
Yes.
no, 100%.
So, listen, we've been, excuse me,
All
can I interrupt you a second? We're trying to follow a protocol. Let him complete his presentation and then we'll open the floor for questions.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Well, to be very straightforward,
Could you go back to the original rendering?
Rendering.
Rendering.
Not this one.
No,
No, no.
no, the that. Okay, it appears that you have 2 driveways,
Yes.
okay, and 2 garages or,
No, just one garage.
okay, so that's just for extra parking or whatever, okay.
So looking back at the survey, we saw contour lines. It suggests that this is kind of on a knoll.
no, it just rises up,
I mean, 2 sets of contour lines. I just can't read the numbers.
The lines that are on the survey are the
Right.
existing contour.
Okay,
The lines on my drawing with the site plan,
Mhm.
are proposed grades.
okay. All right.
The grade, it goes up towards the rear of the property. It slows down toward the hill.
And it drops 4 feet from the left side to the right side. So it's both going down and then
I got you.
majorly up.
Thank you. Okay.
What's the total proposed square footage?
I think it's just under 3,800, if I'm not mistaken.
3,800, and do you know what the existing square footage is?
1,200, something like that.
1,200, so 1,200 to 3,800. Okay.
Of the first floor.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
only.
1,200 on the first floor of the existing.
Yeah.
Because it's a ranch house.
Correct, correct.
Right.
Proposed, we are at 3,810. But it is it's a 0.58 acre.
Just for the record, what's your allowable on that?
3,834.
Okay. Anybody from the board have any questions or comments?
Should we hear from the public?
Yeah, we usually go first, Megan. So we'll hear from the public now.
All right.
Is there anybody in the public who'd like to comment?
Here we go, Carol.
Please come forward.
Do I have to come up?
Yes.
Yes.
Don't be shy.
I don't know.
You have to identify yourself.
My name is Carolyn Conrad and I live at 19 Joel's Lane, Sag Harbor.
Okay.
I hadn't seen any of the plans. I had heard it was going to be contemporary. When that image came up, I was in absolute shock. I've been an architect, I was in architecture for 12 years and I worked at INP in the city, so I know a little bit about architecture. And I'm not against contemporary architecture. I mean, I worked with it for so many years and I love it, but my neighbor, I'm gonna be the neighbor. And I just feel like it's a brutalist piece of architecture. That's just my immediate reaction. It feels brutalist to me. Not, I thought contemporary, I guess I was imagining something quite different. And I just feel it's very hard looking. It doesn't speak to any of the architecture on our street or housing on our street. And if I were a board member right now, I would say no, but I don't wanna do that to you, Gene.
No, I'm so respectful.
I mean, they are gonna be the ones who are gonna make the decisions about this, but I just feel like.
Do you find it really offensive?
I think it's not a bad design. but it's just so hard compared to everything else in the neighborhood. And it just sticks out like a sore thumb. You know, you go down the street and all of a sudden, so, I mean, I have to sleep on this. I'm just seeing it for the first time and, as you can see, you know, I'm pretty,
Let me ask you this.
yes.
If the perimeter of the facade was narrower, both to the right and around the frame, would that make it seem lighter and less obtrusive to you?
I don't follow you, sir. Where are you, can you?
The framing for the fenestration, if it was narrower, the total fenestration on the front exposure,
If it was narrower?
yeah, would it
That would be
see,
more glass.
it would be more glass, but I'm asking you, would it change your mind about?
That wouldn't make me feel any better, no.
Okay.
No, okay. No, I just have to, you know.
What do you-
Sleep with this a little bit.
Can I-
This is shocking and, as
What
I
do you
say-
think of this color versus the other color? Can we?
Oh, yes, it's decidedly better because
Okay,
it's
good.
like, it seems like it gives a
Okay.
little room.
Okay.
Our bedrooms are on the side of the driveway, you know, our driveway, which is next to the property line. So.
Is that to the right side of the?
The right or the left?
It's, it's the right, his property line, right, is the right.
Right.
Ours, the left, if you look at our house. So it's on the left side, so it's closer to his property line. So,
Could it be softened with landscaping? Would that help?
with what?
Landscaping, bushes, trees.
Well, I think I need to see more in terms of the landscaping and, yeah. Just very hard, and, it's clean. It's very clean and.
So I think the
And
Jewish,
Bauhausy is very, you know, it's got the Bauhaus look, but.
Okay.
yeah, I think,
John, do you want to say something?
Well, I.
You need to come out.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I'm John Iverson, I live on 19 Jewel Street and this is gonna go up next and I also see it for the first time and I like Carolyn's point, we have to think in a way about the streetscape, you know, what is the street like? And it's not quite a brutalist piece, but in terms of the streetscape and the wetlands across the street, I wonder if we really want to do that, you know, there. And in terms of softening it, it's I don't know, whatever one can do, you know, put a roof on it or something.
Some gables.
Yeah, or just make it more integrated, maybe we want diversity in architecture, I don't know what the judgment they, you know. But I think basically what's gonna be new is the elevation of the driveway on the right side and I like the idea that it's a single level, I like that. And I think that new driveway would work for us. I mean, not that it would work, but I don't see anything wrong with that part of. It's just,
He's gonna use it.
it's just, belongs south of the highway.
Yeah.
south of the highway.
Oh,
Sir, may I ask, would you be looking at the house, like looking straight at this house? Would your bedroom be, or your home, is it to the right of this house or to the left?
To the right.
To the right.
I'm going down Joel's Lane.
Yeah.
I'm passing the house, so it's on my left. And I am going to be looking at that house every day. Even if I'm not looking out my windows over to the property, I am gonna see it every day because I go out every day. And it's gonna be
Thank
a
goodness.
shocking thing for me.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a question. Has everyone gone down Joel's Lane?
Yes. I have not.
I have not recently, I don't really.
Right.
I just went down and looked.
All right, you guys should go down and go all the way to the end.
All the way to the end.
And circle around, it's a cul-de-sac.
Oh,
And look at every house. And see if this fits in.
That's the neighborhood.
Yeah, I do think that as a board, one of the things we've asked is a streetscape. In other submissions, so I think it would just be helpful when you come back next to just. What would this look like in
You know, I'm
comparison
gonna
to
read
anything
this
else?
whole project in the light of what Carol has said. And my own reservations, I'm just really not interested in causing a calamity. And you guys have been very receptive to this, and I appreciate it. You've been very receptive to it. And I do think it's a good design, but it just may not be appropriate here.
I have one question. What are your finishing, your exterior finishing
It will just
materials?
be some,
Poured concrete or?
Oh, no.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, and well, it's already rendered. No, it would be wood. It would be.
Okay.
Oh, God, no, it would be wood.
Oh, wood.
With a little bit of.
That's not
small
clear.
dots in it and stained it a light gray. But you know what?
But texture's important.
Well, it is, but I think it's more than that. I think maybe it's just too brutal for the village.
Right,
You know, I've had great reservations. I have tried to design a gable building that fits inside the envelope. It's very challenging because the streets are so much. But,
Right.
just, I need to go about it.
Well, we look
Anyway.
forward to your
Yeah.
next
So,
presentation.
Yeah.
No need to further contemplate this. It's gonna be something.
You're blessed with a great neighbor.
Yes,
You really
I
are.
know Carol a little bit.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. So we'll close discussion on this
We'll table.
table. So I so nominate. Do I get a second?
Yes, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, board.
You're welcome. And 203 Madison.
Oh, this is the, reminds me of Bill Grimble. Bill Grimble, did you ever meet Bill Grimble?
No.
Yeah, get my buddy here. Bill Grimble. Hey, Jay, I can't think of anything. Judith. That gentleman, that, you know, reminds me of Bill Grimble. You remember Bill Grimble? He was married, he's the minister.
Okay, thank you.
To Christine.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Hi.
reminds me of some sweet guy.
Just giving you a little summary from last time.
Thank
There
you.
you go.
This way it's really quick.
Very good job.
Awesome, love it. Okay. Sorry.
It's okay.
There you go.
Yes, all right. So, my name is Monica Olgo, obviously, everybody knows, Mr. Ken's house, I purchased it in 2003. And I will try to be quick, first time you had, seen me, it was a discussion item in, May of 2024, May 9th, so it's gonna be here tomorrow. And, so I was here last month, and you had some great comments. And you had some great comments and advice, and I just summarized it on that paper for you. Yep. So Carrie, can you, so there's some comments that I would like to, that I addressed. Can you go to drawing A6? Okay, great. So there was a comment that, to change the material on the corner boards from AZAC to mahogany or wood, which is totally, I like it. It was just a mistake, actually. Yes, so everything will be mahogany or wood, painted wood on the house. Right now, I think, your comment.
Okay.
Okay, then windows, I had a pleasure of having Jack over the property on April 14, 2021. And we went through the house, and we will be preserving two pre-existing windows. I'm gonna restore them. on Germain Avenue side. And please, that's a drawing also, A6 north elevation. So I'm trying to.
Those can be easily marked. In other words, we identified some that were original.
Yeah.
Okay.
Many had been replaced.
Yeah.
And so.
A6.
Something posted up today.
No, that's not this one. I gave you, I have it, if you like, I'll show you. Yeah, it's in Berlin.
Want water? Would you like water?
I had some lozenges here somewhere.
Oh, here.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so number three,
Not right here.
there was an, Zach had asked me to add a note, that the garden porch columns, the one that I'm adding, the brackets and columns will match the front porch, which is indicated on your drawings A7.
Seven.
It's the corrected, north elevation with the existing. Right.
If you just call them out as being intact.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, that's perfect.
This is the porch with the brackets, existing brackets, and then.
They're looking at something else.
Yeah.
Okay, and then lastly, I was asked to add window sash drawing to the drawing set, which is indicated reference drawing A9. Okay, and you can see on the drawing, on the shop drawing actually, on A9, I had detailed all the dimensions, even included the horns, which I really like. And then two over two sashes. The mountain bars will be 5/8 inches, because that's actually the historical district, that's what you should have, right? So I think I addressed all your concerns, and hopefully, we can move forward and I can start renovating the beautiful structure.
Oh, boy.
That's all. Let me know if there are any questions or.
We have received planning board and ZBA approval of this project. So,
It's a great project. I don't think you're usually presented with something that's been restored,
Yeah.
or repairs, additions, alterations, et cetera, but
This was like.
you don't hold someone to a standard of restoring
Right,
back what's been lost.
right.
So this is really a wonderful
I agree.
thing.
Looks beautiful.
Zach even seen this whole staircase, we love it, right?
Uh-huh.
And the doors that I found in the walls.
Ooh.
I'm saving them, yeah.
Nice, nice.
This is the storefronts? Those are
Yeah.
the
That's what we're
storefront
looking at,
windows?
store yes, yeah, yes.
I think it's fantastic,
I agree.
and I think we should approve it.
I agree.
Well, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Oh, look, it's a public hearing.
It's a public hearing still?
Yeah. So.
Oh my, no wonder people are hanging around. Okay, anybody from the public have any comments on this? Observations?
No,
There are multiple letters for.
yeah, no.
Is there anyone on Zoom who would like to make a comment? Is there anyone on the board who'd like to make a comment?
I'm ready.
Therefore, I'm ready to close the hearing, and I'm also going to, can I get a second on that, please?
Me.
Okay. All
I
in
second.
favor?
All right, closing it.
Any opposed?
All right, not yet.
Okay. And
Wait, you need a motion to approve.
I'm getting ready to say that. She said, let me take a break. Jeez, you guys are rough on me tonight. I'm not bringing candy anymore.
You already did.
I'm not doing it
Some people are
anymore.
confused.
Okay.
Not you.
All right. So I will make a motion to approve the application as modified.
And
As presented.
I already second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Got it.
We got out of
Thank
here.
Thanks tonight. That's good.
I bought the candy because Carrie said we're gonna be here till midnight.
Almost, but not.
Drag out the last. We have one more.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I was too excited. I'm too excited. One on the back page?
Thank you guys,
Oh, no.
everybody. And
Good night. I'm sorry, 9 Forest Street. Who's here to represent? I was wondering why you guys were sitting back there. I thought our show was entertaining.
Very good, thank you. So, I'm Lyndon. One of the members of 9 Forest Street LLC. So, seen before you the last couple of months discussing the project. So, I'll quickly kind of run through the site plan and stuff just to re-familiarize for anyone else as well. I don't mind just pulling up the landscape plan. I'll run through it as a site plan on the landscape plan, because that was actually one of the things I was missing last month, was on the detailed landscape plan. So I can talk through that as I go, and then we can have a look at the elevations, which will go along with the renderings, since I've submitted a couple of renderings from last time. The design hasn't changed at all, as when I left, I felt there wasn't much opposition, a couple of points which I'll run through. So Forest Street, we're just on the edge of Sag Harbor Village. So looking at the property as you'd enter it, got a nice house to the right and one below, and then that's the grade of the road slopes from right to left. To enter in the property, we have a gravel driveway, which was actually one of your points in last month. We felt the size of the gravel driveway was actually a little too large, so where you can now see the gate entering the back garden, that was where the gravel driveway actually extended to. It's also felt a lot wider as well. There was a Belgian block border, which kind of exaggerated the mass feeling of the driveway. So going back up to the entry, we've got this lovely oak tree, which kind of anchors the property. And on the renderings, you can see that as well. So that's going to remain. And then we're bordering the driveway with nice kind of grasses, Celeria autumnales. And then it kind of goes out into slightly larger grasses and then some clouds of kind of box bushes to just soften the building a little bit anyway. So that's kind of a bit about the entry. We've obviously got a 2-story home here. The lot, as you can see, is quite long and narrow. So to make it quite appealing from the street, we've intentionally kept the width of the building quite narrow and played into that. So it's not feeling too large as you go up and down the street. Height-wise, the bridge is a little over 29 feet, so it's 29.4. The 2 interior finish floors are proposing a 9-foot ceiling. What's within the building when we move to the elevations, and then entering the backyard, we are intending to screen for privacy both for the property itself, but for the neighbours as well. Like I said, you are on a slope coming from right to left, so we're intending to use larger trees on the left-hand side where we will naturally, even at ground level walking, will naturally overlook a little bit. Currently, there's an existing 6-foot fence, wood stockade fence along both sides and on the rear. So that will probably remain, and the trees will come inside
the fence.
You can obviously see we've got a swimming pool over there, and then a small pool house, which will hold the pool equipment over the back there as well. If I come back to the front, it's a beautiful cherry tree currently right now at the front property. I'm not sure if you still have them from last month, but I took pictures of the existing house before we made this.
Okay.
Our intention is to try and retain the cherry tree, but it's got a very large canopy, so I do fear that with the overcut for the excavation and where the drip line's naturally going to go, that might get disrupted, it might not be salvageable. If it's not, then we're proposing a nice magnolia, which is obviously native to the area. You see them around there, beautiful flowering tree.
Again, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you did hear that expediency for the construction doesn't negate the requirements to remove a tree.
Absolutely, yeah, we'll be going through all the proper channels to make sure that there's permission granted for trees that are that do have to come down. You can see the trees in the rear as well, which are the larger oaks. They're remaining. I believe there's 2 or 3 trees that will need to come down for construction, so they will get their own separate permit. Going back to the front, we're trying to avoid screening too much at the front of the property. So apart from those sort of, low-lying bushes and shrubs, the lawn will be green and hopefully let the house speak for itself with its purple peel from the front aspect. So that's the project that we're proposing. If you want to go to permits there, Carrie.
Sorry, just a question. I was just looking at the trees that are there. I think are the 3 cedars, is that what you're talking about removing, that are almost like
Those ones
practically
are
next?
right on,
They're right on the
they're
road,
literally
on the house.
a matter of inches from the house.
Those are the ones you would.
I wasn't talking about those ones. There's a cherry tree that's in the existing front yard.
Yeah.
That's probably 10 feet away from the existing building right now. The branches themselves are
Yeah, they're
kind
quite
of
wide.
reaching towards the house currently. Those cedars, I think, there's no way that they're
Yeah,
gonna
the
remain.
cedars don't
There's
make
already
any
been
sense.
some damage to the foundation and the roof from roots and, debris coming onto that house as well.
Right.
So that's kind of an overview of the project. And you can also see the renderings. So in terms of our chain of thought of where we were going, we are not in the historical district, but we do love the feel of Sag Harbor. It's obviously what everyone comes here for. So we're trying to do a little bit of a blend of an ode to other buildings around and a little bit of modernist, forward thinking. So material wise, we're going to go with obviously traditional cedar shingle. The windows are 4-pane mullion. And then we are aiming to have a standing metal seam roof. And we're gonna probably do that in a kind of dark brown, bronze color, just to make it a little softer than the black. We found that when we've been doing our market research, particularly as that front facade is actually south facing, get quite a hard sheen off of the full black metal roof. So we kind of want it to be as soft as possible.
So this is a matte, it's a
will
matte
be
finish?
A matte bronze, dark brown. I can't remember the exact color name, but that's the look that we're going for. It will be matched with the window color, and obviously all of the fascia detail will be incorporated so it's all unified together. One thing the rendering is missing is the guttering detail, but that will be again matched with the same color, dark bronze, and it'll be a 6-inch half round. Off the side of the building, you have the it's not a dormer, but obviously a shed roof sort of atmosphere that will be used as kind of daily entry, which just houses a mudroom, laundry, and a powder room for the property. And then again, like I said, to kind of a little bit bring it back to the slightly more modern feel. Then at the front of the property, you begin to see this the detail with some slatted screening. The building is symmetrical, but it obviously adds a twist to that, and then a small covered roof for the formal entry. So that's that kind of front facade of the roof.
And what's the height of the building?
The height from grade to the top of the ridge is 29.4. So the ceiling heights are 1 foot higher per floor than the existing. And to try and mitigate, the building becoming too high, we've done a shelf in the foundation. So the actual finished floor level is going to be slightly lower than the existing building now. So there's not a huge difference between the two currently. But yes, it's 29.4 to the ridge. So that's more of a direct front view of how the property is going to read from the street, and where the rendered in tree is currently right now. That's approximately where the existing cherry is. We've rendered it this way for this particular image.
So no existing windows on the left-hand side, also on the lower floor?
I'm sorry?
Any windows you can put on the left-hand side of the property?
It's a complete demolition. There's no existing.
No, I'm just asking, when you build, are you going, that's how that wall's gonna look?
That's the direct front view, that's how it will read. If you're just standing directly in front of it, yeah.
Okay.
So what's behind the louvers?
Yes.
A small balcony for the one of the bedrooms upstairs.
So there's a door that leads out into a
Correct,
shallow.
yeah. And if I've managed to pull renderings together for all elevations, so I can talk through it. So we've jumped directly to the back now, so the complete opposite. So and that's where we go. Okay, just jump to the next. Okay, yeah, that's perfect. We can jump to the back. So obviously the ridge line is a very simple building. A little bit more towards a modern barn than a classic home. And then again, the same detail with the slats is carried on around to the rear. So that wasn't the one that you just questioned. You're looking, but the detail is the same. So that's an upstairs bedroom. And if we're looking at the image now to the left-hand side, the slats are angled and they go all the way up, which again is a measure we've taken so that the property to the right is protected from view, and also likewise, naturally on that side, the property to the right is the one that is uphill from us. So for this property, it's actually more of an issue from that side, someone looking down. On the rear, you've got the glass doors, which come from the kitchen and the dining area and straight out onto the pool area. Here it's been rendered as a kind of patio, but that's actually a mistake, and that will just be a wood decking, likely a mahogany or something similar, a tropical hardwood type. And the small area you can just see off the right hand side that looks a little bit like a concrete slab. That's going to be a continuation of the decking, and that will house the barbecue area there. Any questions on the rear elevation?
Where does this, how does it relate to your neighbors? You're saying that the louvers will obscure the view of their private area?
Yes, so right now, if we're looking at the building, the natural grade of the whole street is coming on a slope from left to right. So the property on the left of this image is naturally higher than we are.
Could you show that view that you showed before of the whole neighborhood?
Yes, yeah. That was,
That's exactly what I'm.
There.
There you go.
yeah.
Okay.
So
it's right here.
Yeah, that's the other property. So from that last rendering from the back where I was saying it's from the left,
You're right.
and the house with the double garage, that one is quite significantly higher. So that is more of an issue for them looking over to this particular property.
And they were.
That was the people that were here.
They were here and they had just left.
Yeah.
With the double garage.
It was done.
Okay.
But naturally we're on a second floor. So if there was no protection, you would both be looking at one another essentially. So we put that screening up there so that that's protected. Now, whilst we're on this image, on the balcony on the front bedroom, you can actually see that the front of the house over here is, this property I'm proposing is much closer to the road than the property on the left. So the balcony there is actually just overlooking their driveway. There's no view from that front property towards their back garden.
And I believe that they are the one, I think that's the McDonald's, I think that they're the one that wrote a letter.
Letter.
Yeah. Right.
Also, I just want you to know that there was a typo on the letter that, Cliff McDonald and Daphne, wrote. It says that they recently signed a lease to rent our house for this reason from May 16th, and it says June, but it's really September.
He said 3 months, didn't he say 3 months? Yeah, so this, so in terms of their letter, this doesn't seem, have they seen these plans?
I believe if it
Yes,
gets, if it gets sent out, then-
they did see these plans.
They came in.
They didn't, it doesn't seem like that they, it says that they're not opposed to a new house being built next to us, but they have just two, serious concerns. One being that they didn't know, they wanna know a time frame of the construction basically, and it looks like they're uphill.
Nothing we can do about
There's no
that.
legal precedent for.
No.
Yeah, no,
not
of
at
course
all,
not.
Not at
But
all.
We can't deny an applicant
Right.
No.
a process just because their neighbor's renting a property.
No, we know that. But let me ask you this. What is the time frame? Just out of curiosity?
Well, we're still.
In design.
The Suffolk County Department of Health and all that.
Oh, you've got 6 months.
Yeah, so the reality is, I think we're full anyway.
Yeah, yeah, October breaking ground, you'd be
Yeah,
lucky.
yeah,
Okay, all right.
But the
Um,
second,
They said, we're not
the
doing
second point, which is, it's uphill from ours on the west side of the house, is 60-foot long by 20-foot tall wall. That will be overlooking our backyard and pool, and I thought I just heard you say that because the house is forward of theirs, that it
Yeah,
would not be
so,
overlooking their pool?
If you want to go to one of the other, bit, we can actually show you that wall that they're mentioning. So currently, just for context, if you're in the back garden right now, even on foot, you can look over. to
Over
the
their
back
wall?
garden and onto the swimming pool. So by nature of any second-story building, unless you had no windows at all, which would be a problem for egress, there's gonna be a problem, much like there is the same problem for this particular property with the house on the other side.
Did I misunderstand? I thought the louvers were gonna obscure the view of their pool.
There's ones at the back and ones at the front, so on the front section,
Do you want me to go back?
yeah, you can. On the front section, the louvers are not screening the view.
But it's facing the
that
street.
way, But I'm just looking at their driveway and their cars.
Okay,
Okay, from you.
It's a patio, so that the corner where the louvers are face forward.
Right.
But it's open on the other side.
But that other side faces their
It faces their
driveway.
driveway. It's a
Where is that? Corner side.
No, it still has the,
Yeah.
It was one of the early ones, this
Yeah.
one, right.
We've never seen that other
You
side.
can't see the other side, that's why.
we haven't seen it yet.
That's
Hey.
the other side. But is there an elevation on
Yeah, like
the
a
other
tree.
side?
There's 100% an elevation, I'm just double
Okay.
checking that
I
there's
haven't seen
a rendering.
It's no wonder.
My apologies, it's not a rendering, if we could.
There it is.
Right here.
That's the elevation.
See, it's
So
open.
that front
Yeah, so
corner
that's-
is open.
Yeah, so on that balcony.
We're talking lower right, huh?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, on the right hand side, so the louvers on that side are actually protecting occupants of this property from direct view from the street. And then it is open on the side facing down the hill.
And you're saying that looks out over their driveway?
It looks over the driveway.
Yeah, it's not the pool, the pool's down here, right?
Then,
This is the front though.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, that little corner is the front
Yes.
correct,
and the side,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And so the pool of the neighbor is back, correct?
Yeah, sometimes situations like this, we ask for, surveys or representations of the location
yeah,
of where the neighbors are.
that's understandable.
Because we generally don't like balconies looking into people's backyard.
Okay, that's not in the backyard, just to be clear, but yeah.
Okay.
Right. Now, how about the plan, the plan with the trees and things like that between, on both sides? Your neighbor on the right, your neighbor on the left. What is the?
The plan there is for it to be screened with evergreens on
Okay.
both sides of the property.
Yeah, I know you,
A variety of trees from Japanese
There you
cedars,
go.
junipers, and green giants in clusters. So mixing up the the species. And I can tell you now, we're looking at heights of 8 to 10 feet on planting, which will ideally be done at the beginning of the project, so give them a little bit of time to grow up as well. So that's essentially what we are proposing.
Any comments for the board?
Yeah, do you believe that this new structure is going to infringe upon like the sunlight that's going to hit your neighbors?
I do not with the orientation of it. It's kind of north to south, the length of the building. So
Right, but you know, sunrise is in the east
Yeah.
and they're below, because you're on a hill and they're below, so you're gonna be blocking.
I could bring the architect who designed this has a software that
No, it doesn't, you can't.
There's case law, not to cut you off, but there's case law that I know from these two different states where there's no, except if there's a massive circumstance or a building super out of character with the neighborhood, there's no necessary right to the stasis of your sunlight.
Right.
But to answer your question on a neighborly value, I don't think it would be a problem because so much of our back garden that we obviously want for, you know, use and recreation is in the same position that theirs is. So there's not a huge amount of the building here that is going to be blocking it in this, in the same section of their garden that they're using for recreation.
So when
as
they
well.
were saying 20-foot wall, they were just talking about like the louvered little balcony on
I
the
think they're
front
just
side?
referencing the, you know, the scale of the building from grade to fascia level, because it's a two-story building. Obviously, you've got, you know.
What is their building? I'm confused. I thought I saw a
I don't see
two-story.
a house on that side, I see that big
You can
brown.
see
Yeah.
it so far, it's so far down the hill.
There's another
Yeah,
house.
it's set back.
You guys can go down that street too.
You able to-
Yeah, I saw it, I mean, it was like a light beige house,
Yeah, it's
right? It was
it's
kind of
off to
set back
the
off to the left.
Yeah, could you
And it's
show
in
the
the
street
back.
again?
Sure, yeah. So it's two-story buildings, both sides of the house.
I'm gonna chat while you're looking that up. Nobody likes a new neighbor.
Right.
That's an absolute. No one likes that change. I got one coming across the street from me. They're gonna buy the property, they have the land rights, they've got it, I can't
Correct,
tell them what not to do,
Mhm.
as long as it's within code and reasonable.
correct, buddy.
Right here.
There.
There we go.
See
See,
it down on the left.
that's.
Yeah,
our
that's what I'm
house
saying,
back
that's what,
in.
does look very far set back.
Yeah,
Quite a
it's
distance.
set back
Yeah.
and it's a distance
Down
from
the
each
hill.
other's
Yeah.
land.
The other thing that we purposely designed, a little bit the same thought process of just keeping the building narrow for massing and it not feeling too big on the lot, was that if we went for a wider building from the front facade, you would actually have more problem with this because you would put that 20-foot scale closer to the boundary lines on either side.
Mhm.
So on the site plan that we were just looking at, and more the permits that you can see that width-wise, we are, you know, quite far within the setback.
I thought this was very unique to have.
It looks like an old
have-
farmhouse.
Yeah, it really does. To have it positioned that way.
It's not
and
in the.
It struck me just what you said,
in
is
the
that,
structures.
you know, it looks as modest as something like that could look, I think.
Yeah. Is that rendering to scale?
Yes, it is, yeah. And I'm very happy to hear the feedback. It's, I'm a neighbour of the community anyway. I live on Mount Misery Drive currently. So it's not in my interest to be, you know, upsetting anyone in close proximity.
You're clearly not a developer.
So, yeah, that's the project and hopefully we can move on and be adding something nice to it.
Anyone have any comments or observations? So you're gonna come back to us with a full application?
No,
This is it?
This is it.
Public hearing.
Okay. I will make a motion to,
Close it.
Wait.
all right, close the public hearing.
See if there's anybody else.
Well, you have to see if anybody wants to talk first.
Is there anybody left?
No.
But there could be people on
Well, you can tell us.
We have that
Two
We
people?
just got another email from,
Chris Charles Strazza.
yep, and then.
So we've got two Pennant Ronalds.
Is anybody on Zoom that would like to speak?
Take yourself off mute.
Sounds like nobody is speaking. Alright,
So the comments from the email that we just received, it looks like, it says from Starazza, Charles Starazza, who lives
Two doors down.
two doors down. I do not feel this house design conforms to what has historically been built in the village. My wife, Kamari, and I are pleased a new home will be built. However, we would request that modern elements such as wood privacy screens and flat roof porches and other modern elements be saved for facades that are not visible from the streets. So I'm not sure what he's referring to as the flat.
What is unhappy with that estimate?
So on the back, as you approach from the side street, you can see that balcony.
He can be, I'm sorry.
And I'm sorry.
No.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I do,
Okay.
I understand what you're saying, but, wood privacy screens is visible, but I was just trying to understand, what is he referring to as the flat roof porch?
Oh, that little,
It's just a.
the little hood over your front
Yeah, it's
door.
just a little
Oh,
canopy just
yeah.
covering the landing.
That's not occupiable. That's not
No.
No,
That's
that's
the entrance
purely.
to
public
the
access. Right, it's just a, yeah.
Green screen over there, yeah.
Preserving and bettering the architectural character of neighborhood should be a primary concern. Lastly, we'd hope the construction will not commence until after Labor Day.
But that's really.
Okay.
Alright.
I'm sorry.
I don't know that there's anything else in here.
You know what, we should probably turn off the mic, but when someone makes a comment like
Can we-
that, I'd like to see what their house looks like.
But
Yeah, well.
As an example, particularly since they're neighbors, that would give us some perspective that we can understand it.
But,
He's
but
an
honestly, we
He's an
don't,
architect.
yeah.
I know,
We don't have
architects
to-
are very
Alright,
opinionated.
so let's.
Let's move this
so-
along.
Okay, so
There you
Mhm.
do you wanna close the public?
Yeah, let's close, I move that we close the public
Just for the
hearing.
board, I'm sure the board knows, but once you close the public hearing, you have 30 days to run it.
go.
That's fine.
No, I think
Thanks,
we're good.
thank you for the
We're good. I
reminder.
think we're good.
I think we're good.
Yeah, can I get a second on closing the public hearing?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, now I would submit
Gonna make a motion.
I'm gonna, thank you, I was gonna say resolution, make a motion to approve the submission as presented.
Thank you very much, guys.
Wait, we have to get, wait.
Almost.
This is the part you're waiting for.
You're happy, you're happy.
Do I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Now
Now you
you're
can
good.
thank us.
Guys,
Now you're good.
thank
Now
you
you're
for
good.
your time and feedback on the prior presentation as well. Yeah, thank you.
There you go, buddy.
I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that
I'll
motion.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And can't leave yet, Mr. William.
Huh?
Can't leave yet.
Okay.
That's been great, so my God.